I take this as a privilege to speak to our young generation in the banking, our participants actually. According to our IBSL principle, we treat, we consider, and we respect all our participants as future leaders of the banking sector, and also that way future leaders of the country as well. That is the basic principle we have. Before we introduce our resource person, Mr. Bhati Hettiarachchi, formally, with his permission, I would like to share a little information that I gathered this morning actually from my informal reading. It says like this: the purpose of education is to change the empty mind into a open one. If you want to be a good teacher, teach open-mindedness. I think this is applied to everybody, those students and lecturers as well. Open-mindedness, inquisitiveness, ethics, values, and values. This is by Richard P. Feynman. He is a Nobel Prize winner. He is a Nobel Prize professor in physics. So it says many things about our purpose, because now this postgraduate diploma in banking and finance, if we look at the syllabus, it has 2 semesters, and it covers everything related to the banking and finance, the client management, business management, credit management, and also other operations. All aspects of banking and finance is covered. Now, after actually, as the IBSL, what we do is only get the resource persons and create a platform for the students, for the participants, to enhance their knowledge. The effectiveness of that knowledge depends on whether they are going to use it continuously in their day-to-day activities with, as this says, with open-mindedness, and also exploring the practical situation, practical aspects of the course, and also adding more and more information and knowledge through continuous engagement of this inquisitiveness. Inquisitiveness is okay, this enthusiasm to collect information, new knowledge to enhance their skills. So the effectiveness of this program will depend on what you are going to do after obtaining the qualifications. Okay, with that message, it is not from mine, it is from a scholar. Let me introduce our resource person, Mr. Bhati Hettiarachchi, today. Actually, he has a record of more than 1 decade of being a very effective, popular resource person of the IBSL programs. Not only at the IBSL programs, he is also conducting lectures at other institutions, the state universities, and also other training programs. And he also has obtained, and I would like to call him a multi-discipline person, because he has gained experience and knowledge in many areas. Basically, he has a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Jayawardenepura, that is from the Postgraduate Institute of Management, which is considered as one of the highly rated institutions for tertiary education. And he has so many qualifications in his credit: Diploma in Banking and Finance, Diploma in Marketing from Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, Diploma in Credit Management from the Institute of Credit Management, and also he has completed a leadership program from a Japanese university. And there are so many other qualifications he has gathered. With those academic and professional qualifications, he also has a history of 20 years of experience in Sampat Bank. So when we look at all these credentials, Mr. Bhati Hettiarachchi is a resourceful person, resourceful professional who is going to guide you today. I think he is going to conduct the lectures on the client management. And also he also will be lecturing some other programs or other topics as well. And we have a very the similar to Mr. Bhati Hettiarji, we also have a very resourceful panel who has the experience in the industry and also who has the experience and practice, knowledge and practice in conducting lectures. Therefore, you are going to embark on a project spanning for 2 years. At the end of the program, you will be, if you look at your skills and knowledge now and after 2 years time, you will have a lot of information to add to your knowledge and also experience and also exposure by engaging with these resource persons. And if you want to get the maximum out of this, maintain the enthusiasm that you have today to engage in this until the end of the program. After that, try as much as possible, whenever possible, to apply them in your day-to-day, both the personal life as well as professional life. With that, let me invite Mr. Hettiarji to start the program. Over to you, sir. And I wish success for all our the participants, because they are going to be the leaders. As I said, we always have that principle. IBSL is promoting this next generation, future generation with knowledge and skills to take over the baton from. And Mr. Bhati Hettiarji is also a very young person. So I invite all of you to, and wish all of you to have a very successful and these days especially safe and healthy life. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Hettiarji.
Thank you, Mr. Karnataka. Let me welcome all the participants who have joined the postgraduate program. As Mr. Karnataka rightly said, the intention of the program is to develop professionals who have the right amount of knowledge and skills who can add value to the banking industry. So as you can see the title, it says postgraduate. So it's not the diploma level, and we are now stepping into a level where we have to go beyond the diploma level and enhance our knowledge in order to add more value than a diploma holder, because now you are in a program where you have to do the postgraduate studies. Now, having said that, it's very important that you gather knowledge during the program. It's not the exam or the title that matters, but what matters most is the knowledge that you gather out of this program. Then in order to gather that, it's very important that you have an interactive session with me. So this is not a very theoretical subject, this is a very practical subject. We are talking about customer relationship management. So when we are doing this subject, I intend to do it interacting with you and basically sharing our knowledge and enhancing it along the course. So I think the syllabus has already been shared with you, and also I have shared a presentation and some reading material where you can gather more knowledge. Now, during the program, while we learn during our discussions, I also upload reading material which you need to read in order to enhance your knowledge and basically understand what we talk here in depth. Now that is very important, because I'll ensure that I will upload the reading material, the supporting material, which will enable you to read and enhance your knowledge and basically explore more on areas that we talk in the class. Now that's very important, because you need to explore and you need to see the case studies, you need to see the practical aspects of what we talk, because our intention is not to pass an exam and keep the theoretical knowledge, but to see how we can apply the knowledge that we gather in the class when we go out to the banking industry, or basically to your offices or the workplace. Right? Now, having said that, I must tell you, even during the previous classes, there were a lot of good feedback where they have gathered the knowledge, the discussions that we have had, some knowledge and insights related to customer service and related to relationships. And yeah, they have actually practically implemented those in their branches and have achieved a lot of success. So therefore, what you learn in this course is very pragmatic, very practical. You can straight away go and apply some concepts in your branches, in your workplace, where you will see immediate results. So with that introduction, let me start the discussion. And in order for us to have a good relationship and basically to have a good discussion, it's very important that we know each other. So I think introduction has already been given to you. I would like to know about you in a very brief manner. So if you can introduce yourself and just basically tell me where you work and what area you are in, it will be helpful for me to understand you and then pitch the program accordingly. So can you please introduce yourself? Basically tell me from which bank you are attending, which bank you are working.
It's 8:45.
Right. So Dinesh, can I start with you?
Hello, good morning to you all.
Good morning, Dinesh.
I am Dinesh Sumanadasa. I am from State Bank of India.
Okay.
And I work in corporate credit.
A corporate credit, right? Okay. That's a place where you have to meet a lot of customers and basically the corporate customers, right, Dinesh?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Great. So, Vidura?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Vidura.
I am Vidura Nadishan and I work for Bank of Ceylon. I'm working as a personal banking officer.
All right. So that's where you build personal relationships with the customer. Is it like private banking?
Yes,
Vidura?
yes, actually, I'm the person who responsible for delivering the customer service.
All right. Okay. So very good to have you in the program. I can get a lot of insights from you. Right. Then we have Brahmana Tilakaratna. Brahmana?
Yes. Good morning, State Terach. I am Tilakaratna from Kandy, attached to PABC and working as a capacity of manager.
All right. So you head a branch or
Yes.
Right. Okay. Nice to have you because I have had some branch managers in the previous programs and it's very resourceful to have such students in the group. Right.
Thank you. Lost the connection last time. I think something happened in my connection. I'm Dinesh here again. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. No problem, Dinesh.
Okay. Anything else you want to know from Mr. Bhatia?
No, Dinesh. I'm fine.
Okay.
So you are into corporate credit,
yes,
right?
Yes. Basically, the pre-sanction credit and the appraisal part. So every corporate credit proposal is done by me. So everything comes.
All right. That's great. Good to hear.
Okay.
Tilochana, right? Tilochana? Okay. Maybe she's having some problem in connecting. Senavi?
Hello.
Senavi, yeah.
I'm Rangana.
Rangana. Yes, Rangana.
I am working for Commercial Bank. I am a brand manager at Compurupitiya branch. I've been on branch banking for I think more than 10 years now.
All right, that's a long time. So you are. I didn't hear you properly in the branch. What do you do? You are the branch manager.
I'm the branch manager at Compurupitiya branch.
Compurupitiya branch. All right. Okay. Very nice to see you in the. Then we have Damayanti. Okay, maybe Damayanti is having some connection problem. Dilshani Jasing.
Good morning, Mr. Bhatia.
Good morning, Dilshani.
I'm working at First Capital Holdings.
Right.
And what I currently do is I'm in the dealing securities area.
All right. That's a good area to be now, right? The stock market is booming.
Yeah, we may also look at repo borrowings and money market instruments.
All right.
First Capital Equities is what looks at stockbroker. stockbrokering.
Fine, fine. So you're more into money market, right?
Yes, investment banking.
Right, right. Thank you, Dishani. Then we have Dilushe Bandar.
Good morning, Mr. Bhatia.
Good morning, Dilushe.
Mr. Bhatia, I'm working in Bank of Ceylon. I'm working in card center, and in card center, I'm working risk management division.
Are you into risk management?
Yeah, mainly into fraud investigation.
All right, okay. That's a very interesting area to be in.
Yeah.
And also a very risky area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice to have you, Dilushe. Now, then we have Dinesh. Dinesh, we had a chat, right? We already had a chat. Right. Vidura also, I think we had a chat. Right. Anyone else that I missed? Anyone else? Did I miss anyone?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I'm Anuradha.
Hi, Anuruddha. Hi, Anuruddha, right?
Anuradha.
Anuradha, right?
Yes,
You have my surname. You're
yes,
sharing my
I'm from Bank of Ceylon and attached to credit unit of the Suburban Provincial Office and as the credit officer. At the moment, I screen the credit facilities presented to the approving authorities from branches, mainly for the retail segment.
So you're into back end or you're at the front end where you have discussions?
Back end, sir. Screening side, support inside.
All right. Okay. Right, Anuradha. Thank you. Nice to have you.
Hi, Mr. Bhatia. This is Pulit here. I'm from Colombo and currently I'm working at CA Sri Lanka, Chartered Institute of Accountant. Basically, my job role is executive coordinator for the SME development project. Actually, my background is project management. So basically, I've done BSc in project management. That's it.
All right. Okay. That's great. That's great. You are from a very, very interesting background. So we can learn a lot out of you with regard to the project management, right? So you are part of the Project Management Institute of Sri Lanka, or
no, not yet.
All right. Okay. Anyone else that we missed? Right. Okay. So if we have covered everyone, then we can basically start our session. So I'll be starting from the beginning, from the pretty basics, and then we will build on that, because I want everyone to come to the same platform. And then I'm sure that the understanding that I have by having a chat with you, and most of you are very interactive and it's very nice. So we will now start the session with the PowerPoint. Let me share the PowerPoint that I have prepared for you. I think I have already shared it in the portal as well. Right. Okay. Now I have a very simple question to all of you. What do you think, or basically, what is the intention of a company? Very simple question. What is the intention of a company? Anyone? Why do companies exist? Dinesh, what do you think? What is the intention of a company?
To achieve the written goals or objectives of the company. The main purpose is to achieve the objectives of the company.
Fine, fine. Why do they have to achieve the goals?
Simply, in this scenario, we can say that to make profits.
To make profits, right, right. So do you
not only,
think?
But there are some other objectives as well, other than profits, but basically profits.
Profits, right? Okay. So when it comes to profit, do you think it's right to say that companies they want to make profit? Do you think it's the correct statement? Dinesh?
I think it needs more elaborative answer, I think.
Let me,
Right now, I don't get anything into my head.
very simply, let me ask you, if I make a statement that the company exists to make profits, is it correct?
Not 100% correct, actually.
Not 100%.
There are companies who does not have that opportunity, objective to achieve profits, actually. So there are companies who do not,
those are non-profit organizations, right?
Yes.
Right, let's take a normal business, like let's take a bank or a company that is in the normal business.
Maximize the income or return.
Maximize the return. All right, you are there, Dinesh. Because if I ask you why companies exist, and if you say to make profits, that statement is wrong. Actually, they have to make the maximum profit maximization. So you can make a profit now, that's not a problem. You can basically get resources, produce products, and then make a reasonable profit, but that should not be the intention. The intention should be to maximize the profit. Now, there is another aspect to it. It's not only making profit. What is the other one? If you are running a normal business, these two are very important concepts. What is the other one? You have to make profit, and at the same time, let's ask from Dilushe or Vidura. What is the other one?
To give a return for the investment of the shareholders.
Give return to the investors.
The investors, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So when you achieve when you make profits, maximize profits, you can give a higher return to the investors. So there's another part to it. If I give you a clue that you can basically make a profit and go bust next day, get bankrupt next day. So it's very important for us to understand two concepts. Basically, the companies have two key objectives. One is profit maximization. Second one is sustainability. Right? So they have to earn profits over time. Right? So you can't make a profit today and go bankrupt tomorrow. So you have to maximize the profit, and then also you have to look at sustainability, where you will exist for a long time and earn profit continuously. So basically, if you really look at the very simple logic, you have shareholders, basically the investors, who invest into companies, even it's same for the banks, right? And then the companies exist in the market producing goods or services, right? So intention of the shareholder is the maximum return, right? So maximum return for their investment, right? So they want that to happen, and they appoint director board to do that, to basically give them the maximum return. And then under the director board, you have the management, right? The managers who run the organization. So they want to maximize the profit and provide the maximum return to the shareholders for the investment that they make. At the same time, shareholders want you to run the company in a way where their investment is secured and where they get return continuously over a period of time, rather than losing their capital. So it's very important to understand these two, because these two are very related to the concept that we are going to talk about. Right. So if we expand this, what we have just learned, so we know that there are companies, right? The companies, the intention is to maximize profit and also to do it over a period of time. So profit maximization and sustainability are two key objectives. And in order to do that, they offer a particular marketing program to the market. Now, I'm not telling you it's only product, right? So we will learn this when we go on with the course. Basically, it's not only the product. They offer a particular program. It's a mix, right? So they offer a product, and at the same time, there has to be a good pricing method, and there has to be a distribution method. So they actually offer a particular program. We call that market offering, right? So they offer this market offering, which consists of products, services, and along with that the price, the promotions they do, the information they share, and it's the whole program, right? And this is offered to the customers. So it's marketing offering, or the, in very simple sense, if you want to learn now, the product or services that is being offered to the customers, right? And there is a value exchange that is happening. What is the value exchange? Now in this, when they offer a product or service, or if, as I say, the market offering, the whole bundle, right? There is a value exchange happening. What is the value exchange?
Customers who get the service, customers who get the service, in return they pay the company.
All right, so customer, exactly. So customer gets something of value. What is valued by the customer? Now customers have problems, right? So they have problems. They want some solution. Am I right? You are Rangana, right?
I'm Rangana.
Rangana, did we have a chat earlier?
Yeah.
All right. Because I think I called you from your first name, no? Sena.
Yeah. Stronger.
So Rangana, as you say, now customers get value. How are they getting value? By solving their problem, right?
Solving their problems. Yeah.
Exactly. So now, for example, if you have need to have basically solve your hunger, right? Now, when you are hungry, it's a problem, right? It's a physiological need. So you are hungry and you need something to satisfy you. So you get a burger. Now, when you get a burger, your hunger is satisfied, right? The problem is solved, right? And at the same time, you enjoy the taste of it, and then if you go to the restaurant, the ambience of the restaurant, right? So basically, by consuming a product or by getting a service, what happens? Your problem is solved. So as a result of that, you get some value, right? What is our value? So that is from company to the customer. So what is the value given in return to the company?
So the service the company has given to the customer is priced at a certain amount, and that amount will be paid by the customer to the company, which includes the margin for the company as well.
Right, you're 100% correct, Rangan. So now the company is basically producing these products using resources, right? Resources are not in abundance. Resources are not given to you free. Basically, you gather resources by paying some money. Am I right? So you have a cost involved, right? So labor, then the raw material, rent, all these have some cost associated with it, right? So you pay that and you gather resources, and with using the resources, you do the production and you produce goods and services. And these goods and services now you are offered to the customer, and customer has found some value in it. Now customer is giving you back value by paying you the price. Now this price consists of money that will compensate the cost that you have already incurred, right? To pay for the rent, to pay for the raw material, the cost you have incurred, it will compensate that. And at the same time, it will give you some margin, as Rangana said, which we call the profit. Right? And that profit is what you distribute among your investors, and at the same time use to develop or enhance your business, right? Now, this is a value exchange. It's basically simply the company will offer the market offering, the company will offer a product or service to the customer, and then customer gets value from it, and then the customer in return gives money based on the price, and then the company gets value. So it's a value exchange, right? So it's a value exchange. Now, right? Now, this value exchange will generate satisfaction for both parties, which is the customer and the company, and it has to be. Now, in this value exchange, one party cannot lose. If that is the case, if that happens, then there is a problem. Right? So the customer cannot lose. He should get value for what he has paid, right? What he has paid, right? And he should find that it's very valuable, and he should be very happy and satisfied with it. At the same time, company which gets the value, which gets the payment, should be happy and satisfied that they have got something very reasonable, good for their product. Right? Now, recently, you find a conflict in this area. Right? So, now, in the news, current news, there are some producers who come and say, we are not getting enough profit. We can't give value to the customer by giving products. Right? Now, recently, Laugh Gas stopped distributing their gas containers. So basically, when you ask, what they say is, okay, we are not getting adequate profit. We can't do the business at a loss. Right? So in the value exchange, the company is not happy. Right? Now, at the same time, there are customers who come and tell you, okay, we can't pay this much. It's very, very high, and we are not happy. So sometimes the customers will complain, this product is inferior. Right? Inferior. So they are not satisfied. So this value exchange, if one party is not satisfied, will not become successful. So for the value exchange to become successful, both parties, the customer and the market, customer and the company, both need to find it valuable and find it profitable, find it satisfying. Right? Now, having said that, it's very important that you understand you are not operating in silo, in a market where you are the only person. Right? So in a market, if you are the only company that exists, that's so much the better, right? Because you're going to enjoy your time, because the customers have to come to you anyway. But today it's not the case, right? Today it's not the case, because there are other competitors. Even if you look at the banks, you have commercial banks, or about 25 commercial banks. So basically, you can't say that I'm the only person and you have to take my product. When you go to the market, you find competitors. Now, competitors are people who are producing some similar solutions. Right? Similar solutions. Now, for example, the direct competitor of a product can be who create or who offer identical products like you. For Coca-Cola, the Pepsi. Right? For HNB, Sampath Bank or commercial bank. They offer similar types of products. So you generate competition by offering the same value. Same value. Now, at the same time, you also have to understand there are competitors who are coming to you in an indirect way. Right? So they may not produce the same thing that you produce, but they are competitors. What are the examples? For example, for Coca-Cola, Highland is a competitor. Right? They produce milk. Right? So a person who wants to, who's having the need of the thirst, he might opt to buy Coca-Cola or Highland milk packet. Right? So he might drink a milk packet instead of Coca-Cola. Right? So the Coca-Cola cannot say that my only competitor is Pepsi. Now you also have to understand, in the competitive landscape, you have the indirect competition from Highland. At the same time, let's say bottled water is a competitor, Coca-Cola. Fruit juice, a competitor. In that case, Kist, Smack, right? Ozo, there are a lot of brands, right? Competitors. At the same time, like Nescafe, coffee, tea, they are all competitors. So in the competitive landscape, you have to understand a competitor can be a person who produces the same product that you give or the same service that you offer, or it can also be someone who's giving an alternative to satisfy the same need. Right? So direct and indirect competition. Now, even the banking sector, now we are thinking the other bank is a competitor, but at the same time, we also have to understand we are getting competition from even the fintech companies, like the Dialogue in Sri Lankan example, right? And all the other fintech organizations where they provide apps which banks, actually provide the same services banks give, right? So Google Pay, Apple Pay, right? And then the Dialogue EZ, what you call Easy Cash. So these are all competitors. And at the same time, for the banking industry, the leasing companies can generate competition. Finance companies can generate competition, right? So it's not you should not have that myopia where you think that my only competitor is another bank, but at the same time you have to also understand there are other competitors who will compete in the same domain, right? So in this particular diagram, when this market offering is given to the customer, the competitors will have some impact on it. Now, the customer basically, while he looks at, or he or she looks at your offering, he or she will also look at the offers given by the competitor. Right? So this is actually creating some impact or some pressure when you are trying to offer your product or service to the customer. Right? So if they give a better market offering, then the customer will wonder why I should take your one instead of what the competitors offer. At the same time, the competitors are giving a lower value, right? Basically not a good market offering like yours. The customer will feel that by doing business with you, he gets more value. Right? So basically, when it comes to this relationship, where you are trying to offer a product or service or your market offering to the customer and win him, you must also understand there is influence by the competitor offerings, which you need to overcome. So this value exchange, when you look at it, when it comes to the customer, that's very pretty interesting thing that is happening. He is going to value your product not in isolation. You will value it in comparison to the competitor offers. මේ customer එයාට හම්බෙන satisfaction එක compare කරනවා the satisfaction he gets from the competitors. Very interesting area. ඒකට මේ එක තනියම ගන්නෙ නෑ, හැම වෙලාවෙම compare කරලා තමයි බලන්නේ මට හම්බෙච්ච value එක, right? So value he gets is always he try to compare it with the competitors also. So it's very interesting now. Making up there now there. Now we understand when you give value to the customer, you have to make sure when he compares with the competitor, it is more than what competitors offer. Right? So basically, I have to do something more than the competitors. The value exchange. Okay? The customer will find that your value is high and he will be satisfied. Right? So it's a very interesting thing for you to understand. It's not just sharing value, but while you understand the simple concept, you also have to understand the complexity behind it. At the same time, you have to understand all what you do here, right? Your market offering, the customer valuing it, the competitors, what they offer, the value exchange, all this happens in a business environment, right? So that is what I have given in this circle, right? This circle, business environment. Now the business environment has a lot of influence on how you do business, right? So it has a lot of components. Business environment e godak ewa thiyena. Apita sarlawam bedanna puluwan කොහොමද? Macro and micro කියලා නේ. Macro and micro. Micro කිව්වම you look at your internal environment, right? Basically your company, within the company, and then basically what is around the company, right? And then macro environment consists of a lot of forces such as legal, political, environmental, social, technological forces, right? A lot of forces. So this environment consists of forces and actors, right? Such as the customers, suppliers, regulators, to forces such as political, economic, then the legal, then
it's
environmental,
9:15.
right? So actors and forces. So continuously, this environment is impacting how you do business. So the business karaddi me environment against run back. So that's very simple theory that we know. You can't go against the environment so that you will perish, like what has happened to the dinosaurs, right? So when you are a business, you have to also look at what is happening in the environment and then adjust your strategies, because with the changes in this environment, the customer, what he values also changes. Competitors also changes. So if you try to stay as it is, then you become obsolete. So your market offering also has to change. The market offering also has to change. For example, long time back in the banking industry, we used to have branches, right? Physical branches. So branches expand main intentions to expand the branches and provide the services. Then in 2000s, you found that the banks and the companies are moving more towards tech, and then the banks came up with internet banking. Right? Internet banking. Now, what has happened? The technological environment has changed. The technology is changing. As a result of that, now you have internet banking. Right? So the competitors also adopt internet banking, so that the customers find, rather than traditional banking, we have a very simple, very efficient solution. Right? So then the customers say, okay, rather than going to the branch, rather than going to the bank, we can do it at our home. Why should we go to the bank? So from a era where the customer found that they have to go to the branch physically, now they are valuing doing their banking at home at their convenience. So earlier they were valuing having lesser, very short queue, fast service, and then the basically how fast you will, how comfortable they are in the branch premises. Now, those are things. Now what they are valuing is how speedy it will be, right? How fast we can get it done, how conveniently we can get it done. Can we get it done from anywhere in the world? So with the introduction of the internet banking, what they value has changed. And when the competitors, when they move on to the internet platforms and offer internet banking, you find if you are offering only branch banking, you are in great trouble. Because now you are offering good service in the branch, but what they value has changed. Now they want to do it at their home. So the technological changes in the technological environment has actually changed the customer. Your competitors have changed, and you have to change. So you also have to introduce internet banking. If you don't do that, what will happen is you will lose your customers. So same with mobile apps, right? So the fintechs, when they grow, they come with mobile apps, right, where you can get things done very fast, very cost effectively, very efficiently while you travel. So the customers now expect to have a mobile app where it's easy for them to do banking. Then your competitors, direct and indirect, may go for mobile apps, and you have no choice, but you also have to go for mobile apps, otherwise you will perish. Now we understand very simply the technological change, right, in the macro environment, right? Technological change and how it impacts us. Now this is the same story with Nokia and Apple, right? So long time back, Nokia was the market leader with over 50% market share, right? And they actually, if you ask who actually found the touch screen and the technology, Nokia found it before Apple. But actually they thought like it's not a major deal, like let's go on with our products, so it will not basically capture a large market, who cares? And I mean, they were not very interested. So what happened? Apple actually took over the concept. They went with that technology, right? And then they started giving products where the customers can have a touch screen and enjoy the phone, and rest is history. Today, Nokia is a very basically having a very low market share compared to Apple, and you know the history. Right? So basically, I invite you to read those articles related to Nokia and Apple, which actually provides you a very interesting insight as to why you should change with the marketing environment. Right? So the banking sector also is now threatened by the fintechs. Right? So it's a talk of the town, right? So digitalization, mobile apps, fintech competition. Now there is something that has happened in the environment where you have to change. Similarly, it can be the environmental concerns. Similarly, it can be the political changes. For example, how the politics will work and the relationships they have with the international community and their policies. Now, these things affect the businesses, the economic decisions, economic environment, right? Now, the tax regimes and their import-export policies, tariff. Now, recently, there is a tariff that is basically a margin requirement, right? So you have to keep 100% margin for certain products, and that will increase the cost of importing those, right? Now, that has come because of the change in the economic environment, like the pressure on the exchange rate and the pressure that has been created by the pandemic. So there is a margin requirement that has come. So you can't do the business the way you have done earlier. So you have to now change. Now what you offer to the customer is completely different, right? So that is economic side. The political side, you may know. I mean, very simple example is about the GST. Right? With your certain relationships you have, you might get it. Certain relationships, certain political parties have, they might not get it. So they have to basically look at their policies and the relationships in order to see how the international community and what part of the world will support. So with that, you also have to adjust your businesses. Now, at the same time, that is political, economic, then environmental, then technology, then the legal side. In the legal side, there can be new acts being implemented, new regulations being implemented, and you have to comply. And you can't run against that. So business environment actually impacts all what you do here, what you offer to the market, how customers will respond to it, what your competitors will do, and then the challenge is how you will do the value exchange still profitably, right? In a way that everyone is happy, right? So basically, this is the challenge that we most of the time face, right? Now, in order to run your businesses, as we have already discussed, basically you can have different concepts, and the world has adopted various concepts in the past in order to do their businesses, or basically model their businesses in order to achieve what we have just discussed. profit maximization, sustainability, right? And then the profitable or satisfying value exchange for both parties. Now, when you look at the history, you can identify basically 5 concepts, right? 5 concepts. So let's take one by one. First one, we can talk about production concept. And now, basically, I must tell you, these are concepts that any business can follow even now. There's nothing called the businesses have followed the first one, then all have changed to second, all have changed to third. No, nothing like that. These are basically concepts which was valued by the organizations or the companies over the history, considering that it will help them to have high profits and sustainability, right? So the earliest or the most historical concept is the production concept. Now this came with the industrial revolution long years back, right? And the environment during this period is that there were very few companies, right? So very few companies and a lot of demand, very few products also. Goda products ut nahe, mema goda companies ut nahe, very few people in the competition and a lot of demand. So their intention and the concept they followed is produce as much as possible. Produce as much as possible at the lowest cost possible. හැකිතරම් නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න අඩුම වියදමට. හැකිතරම් නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න අඩුම වියදමට. So they thought when we produce more and more and make our products available, we will get more profits. ඇයි කොහොමද එහෙම වෙන්නේ? Because very few people, very few companies, නේ. Companies හරි පොඩ්ඩයි තිබ්බේ products offer කරන්න. එතකොට products වැඩි market එකේ නෑ. And if you produce more, එතකොට වැඩිපුර products දාන කෙනාට තමයි වැඩිපුර sale එක එන්නේ. Because whatever you produce, there will be demand. There will be people who buy. ඒකට වැඩිපුර products දිනනවා වැඩිපුර විකුණනවා. So make as much as possible and make it available. Then the second one is lowest cost. දැන් මේ තියෙන්නේ හරි පොඩි ප්‍රමාණයේ products competitors ලා වැඩි නෑ. ඒකට මිනිස්සුන්ට අඩු මුදලට දුන්නොත් වැඩිපුර ගන්න. So very simple. Right? හරිම simple concept එක environment එකත් එතකොට very simple. So basically you will produce as much as possible and produce කරනකොට වැඩිපුර produce කරනකොට වැඩිපුර sale එක ගෙනවා. ඔන්න වැඩිපුර business වැඩිපුර profits. පුළුවන් තරම් අඩු මුදලට නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න. So when you produce at the lowest cost, people will buy it easily. People will buy more. වැඩිපුර ගනි. හරි මොකද මේකේ දෙක තුනයි තියෙන්නේ. මිනිස්සු ගන්නවටක් ගාලා අඩු තියනවා මිනිස්සු වැඩිපුර ගන්න කැමති. Very simple, right? මේක ආය තමයි අර හෙන්රි ෆෝඩ් ගේ කතාව. I mean, if it is a car, it has to be black. If it is a car, it has to be black. So what he says is, if you have one production line where you don't have to change the colors, you can produce at a lower cost, right? ඒක කාර් මිනිස්සුන්ට ඕනේ කාර් එකක්, අපි කාර් එක ප්‍රොඩියුස් කරමු, කලර් එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. අයි මොකද concept එක? Produce more and more, lowest cost. දැනුත් මේ වගේ concept තියෙනවා, right? So certain price sensitive markets, certain markets where you have enough demand, you may go with the production concept. Samara Chinese companies තියෙනවා මේ වගේ යන්නේ. Even Lenovo was on this concept some time back, right? So you produce more at the lowest cost and make it available everywhere so that the people will buy. The මේ concept එක දැන් උනත් යන්නත් පුළුවන්. right? දැන් උනත් යන්න පුළුවන්. So may produce as much as possible at the lowest cost, keep it available. Competition එක ලොකුවට නැත්තම් මේක විකිනේ. Then මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තිබ්බේ මෙහෙම කරගෙන යනකොට then you get competition. When you get more suppliers, so they come and try to compete, and when they are trying to compete, they show right, okay, then the same compete karana amaru, we'll have a different line. So they said, okay, let's work on developing the product. developing the quality of the product, developing the features, right? And let's differentiate the product, and let's try to put it into the market and compete. So then the other, like Henry Ford said, car is black and every car has to be black if it is a car. Then the other said, okay, fine, why not other colors? Why not red? Why not blue? Right? Why not yellow? Right? So they thought, okay, let's come up with some products where we have enhanced it, we have added more features, so that the people will opt to buy our ones. So, so the concept changed from production to product to improve the product quality. So now everyone is trying. Now when one person starts increasing the quality, when the customers find that product is much better, they generally go there, right? So they go to buy a particular product. They can't stay. Now they also have to do the changes. So the companies thought, okay, now production is born. Now we have to enhance our product, basically improve the quality of our product.
It's 9:30.
Features of our product, and then that will help us to compete. That will help us to compete. I will always make sure that my product is better than my competitor, so that the customer will come to me. Okay. So how do you do that? Adding more features, improving the quality, right? So on and so forth. Then make a gear. Then even today you find these type of people, right? So where they work on developing the quality and the features in order to compete and in order to become successful, right? So product concept, right? Product concept. They are so much worried about improving the product continuously, and they think by improving the product, they can capture the market or basically win the competition. Now, they found some problem. Can anyone tell me what are the problems they may have faced under product concept? කාටද කියන්න පුළුවන් හිතලා? දැන් මේ product concept එකේ ගියාම එන ප්‍රශ්න මොකක්ද උනේ? We have Aruna Lakruan. Aruna, are you there? Aruna Lakruan. Okay,
Yeah. Hi.
Aruna, did we have a chat earlier?
No.
Aruna, we all introduced ourselves. If you can introduce yourself, where you work and what you do, and then we'll take on from there.
Yeah, I'm Aruna Lakruan. I'm from Matara, and I work SDB Bank as a branch manager.
All right, very nice to hear that, Aruna. Welcome to the group. And Aruna,
Thank you.
do you
Yes.
have any idea on this product concept? Make a hurry. Make they are improving the product, and they are thinking
Yes.
concept අපේ product එක improve කරලා quality වැඩි කරලා අපිට පුළුවන් market එකේ compete කරන්න. And basically අපිට පුළුවන් මේ competition එකේ උඩින්ම ඉන්න. මේක දිගටම අපිට කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. නමුත් මේක එහෙම පුළුවන්. Right. අරුණ ඒ ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් හිතන්නකෝ. මේ අපි අහමු බ්‍රාහ්මණ මොකද හිතන්නේ? Brahmana. Dilshani, what do you think?
What I think is, so now since they have introduced a new product, I think what they have to do is like they have to communicate it to the customers. So now the customers are used to a traditional product. So now since they have come up with like new features, this has to be like communicated to the customers, like what are the features and the differences from the traditional product, and this has to be done in a good way in which the customers also understand.
Right, you are right. But do you think Dishani මේ product එක improve කරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා දිගට compete කරන්න පුළුවන්ද අපිට market එකේ දිගටම? අපි දැන් product එක improve කරනවා. We are improving our product.
Yeah.
And we are thinking we can compete by improving the product and get more customers continuously. Will it be successful?
No, so like, but since what I said is like see, if you are improving the product, this has to be like timely communicated to the customers as well.
Okay. Then let's say that we have communicated also timely and in a proper way, effectively.
So like, then I think so. If you keep on improving, like then like you have to see what your competitors are doing as well. How, in which ways they are improving their products. So like you know, you don't like when you like improve like you know, like you don't keep on continuously improving, but when you see like you know, like so if you look at Apple, they bring in different improvements at like within different versions, so they don't put it all out in one phone. So like what I'm saying is they have to do it at the appropriate time rather than like doing it all at once.
Fine. Desha, I have a question. Already I saw it in the social media also. Now when an Apple phone comes to you with good features at 500,000 rupees, what is your intention of buying it?
Excuse me?
Now they were advertising that $500,000 Apple phone.
Yeah.
They may come up with good features, good quality. Now, how many of you are you willing to pay 500,000 for an Apple phone? Questionable, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you can get the same features from a competitor's product, so I think it's like in vain you have to pay that much amount for one particular brand of phone. If you can get the same features from another brand.
Right. So I was just taking one example. Right. Similarly, let's say that basically what I was trying to tell you. Thank you, Dishani. What I was trying to tell you is like basically you can keep improving the product. Right. Yes, Dinesh. Got any thoughts? You raise the hand.
Would be a main issue.
Sorry,
cost factor would be a main issue.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% spot on. That's what I was trying to tell. Basically, you can improve the product. You can keep improving your product. But there is a particular threshold that you can go up to. Because when you improve the product or when you improve the quality and the features, it comes with a cost, right? It doesn't come free. It comes with the cost. So when you increase the quality and the features, you will basically add more cost onto the production. So your cost will improve. And when the cost will improve, at a particular threshold, the consumers will find it is not worth paying anything more because what they require and what is offered and what is the price they have to pay is not worth. So in that case, they will see, okay, can we go to any other alternatives? As Deshani very correctly said, if a competitor is providing, let's say there's a competitor for Apple who may not have the same features and the same quality, but yet who will give you a reasonable good product where you can have a reasonably a good experience. You might opt to move to that particular product, looking at your price, looking at the price advantage instead of the other product. So other product will become aspirational. Basically, what you want to achieve if you have money, right? Basically, when you have a lot of money, like when you start earning 2-3 million per month or 1 million per month, you might say, okay, I'll go for that, because there is a segment who does that as well, right? And that will be your dream product, but you will settle with what is available. So when you increase your quality, there will be a particular threshold where customers say that we don't want this quality and pay price for that. Now, very simple example given is, how about a golden mousetrap? Now, what is your requirement with a mousetrap? Mousetrap is to catch a mouse, right? So you don't have anything more, anything less, right? Just catch a mouse, right? And you have no intention to keep it for generations. Right? This is the mousetrap my father used, my grandfather used. Mousetrap generation එකේ පරම්පරාවට ගෙනියන්න ඔයා හිතන්නේ. So you have no intention like that, and you don't expect it to last for 10-15 years. Right? So mousetrap, you want it very temporarily to catch a mouse, and then you don't expect it to last for 10-15 years and or to carry forward with generations. So if someone builds, or if someone says, okay, we want to come up with a high quality mousetrap and build it with gold or platinum, okay? Adala low price එකක් කාලා මේ විකුණන්න හදුවොත් nobody will buy, because their requirement is not that. They don't have a requirement to buy the mousetrap in gold, made out of gold. So they are not going to pay that price for you. So that's a very interesting example. So similarly, there are certain products where you can improve the quality, but it has a particular limit. After that particular limit, consumer will not be willing to pay. So you have a constraint there. යන්න පුළුවන් සීමාවක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් එහාට consumer ගෙවන්න කැමති නෑ improve කරා කියලා. But at the same time, it's not very competitive in the long run, right? Today you introduce a new feature, tomorrow your competitors will match it. They'll also come and say, I'm there, I also have it, right? So you introduce cardless withdrawals, first bank, and the second bank will introduce another it after a few months, right? So now if you really look at the history, cardless withdrawals, when banks have it, I mean, it was very rare, but today every bank generally have cardless withdrawal. So then the QR code, maybe now it's not very popular, but over the period of time, everybody will have it. Right? Mobile app, same. One bank introduces a mobile app, another bank will do the same. One bank does one promotion, and another bank will follow. They will also do that. So your competitors can really match you easily, so that it is not sustainable for a longer period to compete. Making what මිනිස්සු එක compete කරන්න බෑ දීර්ඝ කාලයක්. මේක අනිත් පැත්තෙන් copy කරලා එනවා. දෙවෙනි එක තමයි මේක කරගෙන යද්දි මේකට සීමාවක් එනවා. ඉතින් එහාට මිනිස්සු ගෙවන්න කැමති. Right? So product concept එකේදී major problems දෙක එකයි. Product concept is continuous improvement of the product to make it better than the competitor, but the problem is it is not sustainable. මේක පවත්වාගෙන යන්න බෑ. මොකද in the product concept, the competitors can match your product innovations or the improvements easily. On the other side, there is a limit to it. Beyond that limit, customer is not willing to pay. So මේකත් එච්චර successful නුන්නේ product concept එක. මේක successful නුන්නේ. Then you have the sales concept, right? දැන් මේකම successful උනේ නැහැ එච්චරටම. ඊට පස්සේ කොහෙටද ගියේ? දැන් ගියා මේ මොකටද? Sales concept එකකට ගියා මේ මිනිස්සු companies, right? Now in the sales concept, what they thought is like, okay, now we all have our products, right? Products තියෙනවා, then productions යනවා, the production goes, and we have products, and there is a limit to improve, so we have already improved it. Now how can we sell more? How can we become successful over competitors? කොහොමද අපි successful වෙන්නේ? ඒකට ආව sales concept. මොකක්ද දැන් කියන්නේ? දැන් කියනවා දැන් තියෙන එක විකුණන්න. What you have, you sell as much as possible. So in here they thought that the customers will not buy unless you go and basically force them to buy it. Basically, you go and communicate and then persuade, influence them to buy. They will not buy enough. Right? So what you have to do is you have to have good salespeople who will go to the customer and then basically sell what you have aggressively. Then you can increase sales, then you can increase profits. And if you have the best sales team, you will win over competition. So හොඳම sales team එක තියෙන කෙනා තමයි දිනන්නේ, වැඩියෙන්ම sales කරපු කෙනා තමයි දිනන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපි market එකට ගිහලා පුළුවන් තරම් විකුණන්න ඕනේ. පුළුවන් තරම් විකුණන්න ඕනේ අපි ගාව තියෙන product එක. Right? So their intention was that. ඒකට මේ අපි products හදනවා. So we create products and then we go to the market and we will try to sell as much as possible to the customer persuade. Right? So මේ කාලේ තමයි අර sales වලට ලොකු boost එකක් ආවේ. Right? ඒකට මේ කාලේ the success is that if you are a good salesman, you should be able to sell even a fridge to an Eskimo. ඒක තමයි කිව්වේ. You have to be able to sell a fridge to an Eskimo. එතනදී intention එකනේ බලන්න ඕනේ. intention එක උනේ
It's 9:45.
fridge එක ඕනේ නැති වුණා විකුණන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. But there is another side to it. We'll talk about it. මේකෙන් කිව්වේ එහෙමයි. Eskimo ට උනත් අපි fridge එකක් දීලා එනවා. Right? එතකොට මේ ඔක තමයි වැඩි. එතකොට blind වුණොත් sunglass එකක් විකුණන්න ඕන blind person. එහෙම කියනවා. මේ විදිහට sales concept එක ගෙනාවේ basically you sell as much as possible, don't worry too much about the customer. If you sell more, you get more profits. And ඒකේ intention එක කොහොම හරි customer ගේ ඇඟේ ගහන්න. right? එතකොට මේකෙදි focus එක තිබ්බේ transactional focus එක. transactional. කියන්නේ මේ transaction එක තමයි කරගන්න ඕනේ. කොහොම හරි customer ට කතා කරලා ඒ වෙලාවේ transaction එක කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ විකුණලා සල්ලි ගන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ එතනින් transaction එක ඉවරයි. Then it's over. Then you go to another person, do the transaction, finish. Go to another person, do the transaction, finish. And you don't stay with them to have chats because that is time is money, right? Time is money. පුළුවන් තරම් වික්ක පැන්න. උඩ වැඩිපුර දෙනෙකුට විකුණනවා නම් you are successful. කොහොම තමයි මේ concept එකේ ආවේ. ඒත් මේ කාලේ තමයි අර sales profession එක බාල්දු උනේ. sales profession එක ගැන දුර්මත සමාජය තුල පැතුරුනේ. So then basically sales කට්ටිය දැක්කම මිනිස්සු දුවන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. So මේ භයානකයි ආවුත් දැන් මොකක් කරේ ඇඟේ ගහනවා, right? So basically දුවන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. ඒකට sales profession එකේ හිටපු අයට basically තිබ්බ ගරුත්වය මේ කාලේදී පොඩ්ඩක් අඩු වුණා. sales person කියන කෙනා මොනාරි product ඇඟේ ගහන කෙනා කියලා මිනිස්සු හිතන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ඒකත් එක්ක sales profession එකේ ඉන්න අයට තියෙන perception එක මිනිස්සුන්ගේ වෙනස් වුණා. ඒක අදත් සමහරක් විට දක්වන්න ලැබෙනවා. ඒතකොට salesman කෙනෙක් නැත්නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් sales representative කෙනෙක් ආවම මිනිස්සු කොහොමද defensive වෙන්නේ? මිනිස්සු හිතන්නේ මේ අපේ ඇඟේ ගහන්න තමයි ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. But sales is a super profession. I always tell people sales is a super profession because of the sales people, the consumers are getting benefited. Hey, sales profession එකේ වැඩේ තමයි මේ solutions දී කියන්නේ. මිනිස්සු ප්‍රශ්න වල ඉන්නේ. මිනිස්සු දැවෙන ප්‍රශ්න වල ඉන්නවා. මිනිස්සුන්ට ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. මේකට solution දෙනවා sales person ගිහිල්ලා. right? හොඳම solution එක හදලා දෙන එයාව ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ මුදව ගන්න. In sales person කියලා කියන්නේ actually a savior. Actually someone that you should respect. But a profession එක ruin කරගත්තොත් එහෙම අර giving solutions when what exploiting customer කියලා අන්න එතනදී you be looked at as a කපටියා. You be looked at as a කපටියා. right? ඒක කපටියාගේ වැඩේ තමයි ඕන product එකක් ගිහිල්ලා දෙන එක මේ මොකද need එක බලන්නේ නැතුව දීලා කොහොම හරි ඇඟේ ගහලා සල්ලි ගන්න. එතකොට කපටියා. එතකොට people will not develop relationships with kapatiyu. People will not accept kapatiyu. If you try to have sales concept and basically portray yourself as a person who wants to sell and earn money irrespective of customer well-being, then you are in trouble. So my sales concept කාලේ ඕක තමයි තිබ්බ ප්‍රශ්නේ. එතකොට salesman ලා දැක්කම මිනිස්සු දුවනවා. salesman ලගේ වැඩේ තමයි පුළුවන් තරම් product එක තියෙන product එක ඇඟේ ගන්න. So need එක විසඳනවා නෙවෙයි තියෙන product එක ඇඟේ ගන්න. මේ concept එක දීර්ඝකාලීනව fail වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා because people didn't welcome it very nicely. So and at the same time they found it is not possible to continue. මොකද මේක sales person ලා වෙනස් කිරීම හරහා competitors ට පුළුවන් match කරන්න. මොකද ඔයාට හොඳ sales team එකක් ඉන්නවා නම් competitor වැඩිපුර ගෙවලා they will hire that sales team so that you are not any more competitive because they are matching with the same people, okay? And this was not successful. Then world moved to marketing concept. And the marketing concept එකේ difference එක උනේ sales concept එකට වඩා there were two differences. First one, key differences. Sorry. First key difference is that in the sales concept, what is your intention? අපි ගාව product තියෙනවා. අපි හදපු product එකක් තියෙනවා factory. මේ product එක විකුණන්න. So basically you have a product and you have to sell it. You are not bothered about the customer. දැන් මේ වගේ වෙලාවෙදී problem එක වෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ product එක customer ගන්න කැමති. ඒකද හරි solution එක. ඒකට customer ගන්න අකමැති නම් customer will say, see, your product is not meeting my requirement, I don't want it. Second one, customer ඔයාගේ product එක ගත්තොත් ඔයා කියන ඒවා අහලා and if it doesn't meet his requirement, disappoint. ඒක වගාද ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ customer ට ඕන එක නෙමෙයි ඔයා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔයාට ඕන එක තමයි ඔයා විකුණන්න හදන්නේ. Marketing concept එකේ ප්‍රධාන වෙනස උනේ marketing concept said, no, don't try to sell what you produce. You first go and ask the customer what he want and produce what he want. Basically කලින් කරේ මොකද්ද? අපිට ඕන දේ හදලා customer ට කියනවා ඒක ගන්න කියලා කොහොමද? දැන් මොකද ඔයා කරන්නේ? දැන් ඔයා ඉස්සෙල්ලා customer ගෙන් අහලා එයාගේ අවශ්‍යතාවයට අනුව තමයි product එක හදන්නේ. Right? So පළවෙනි එක කිව්වා understand, anticipate customer needs. Understand and anticipate customer needs. So මේක ඇතුලේ ආවා වචන දෙකක්. මොකද්ද වචන දෙක? Understand. දෙවෙනි එක මොකද්ද? Anticipate. Understand and anticipate. Two words. මොකද්ද මේ කිව්වේ? Understand කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? customer ගේ දැන් තියෙන requirement එක customer ගෙන් අහලා ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න. So you basically have a chat with customer and you will try to understand what he wants, right? So there are credit officers here. Basically when a customer comes to you with a requirement, you will talk to him and you will try to understand, right? So මොකද්ද මෙයාට දෙන්න ඕනේ package එක, right? මේ package එක හොඳයිද කියලා බලලා තමයි ඔයා package එක offer කරන්නේ. Dinesh, you are into corporate credit, right? Dinesh, am I right? When you are trying to...
Yes, yes, sir, yeah. Basically, we discuss the matter with the customer first. So we try to understand what is their need actually. So accordingly, we package the customer's working capital or term loan requirement.
So there are sometimes the customers doesn't know what they want, right? So they
of course, yes.
Do you have any example to share with us without telling the names and the...
Actually, there are customers. I don't want to reveal the names, but there are customers who wants to improve or enhance their working capital requirement. But simply they ask for a loan. They don't know what is the need for a working capital. What is the difference between working capital or a term loan? But we have to see what is their requirement. So then only we come up with a solution. No, this is not a loan. Actually, we are giving you a working capital. So likewise, there are examples.
So as you say, Dinesh, basically you need to first understand the customer rather than offering up the customer. You have the loans. Basically, you have the term loan, right? So just because you have the term loans, if you try to push it to the customer also will fail. Ultimately disappointing to the customer. right?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
in the sales concept, what is told is, if you are having term loan and you want to give it, if your bank says sell term loan, you will go
Yes.
and give without asking the requirement of term loans, in term loans, right? But in the marketing concept, you don't do that. You basically ask the customer, what is your requirement? You try to understand the requirement, and then you offer whether you offer a term loan or a working capital or a mix of it.
Yes, sir, actually.
Right. So thank you, Dinesh. So onna venasa, right? So palaveni venasa thamai in the marketing concept, you try to understand the requirement of the customer and basically offer the solution. Right? So what may like you offer with whatever the products you have, you can also develop new products, right? New products. So basically understanding the customer, you develop new products, you improve features, right? And you enhance your product portfolio. And basically these are solutions for the customers, what they ask. So understanding the customer, number one. When we have a customer හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න products හදනකොට, the chances are high that those are accepted by the customer. මොකද the customer ට පේනවා මේ මට ඕනේ, මේ මට අවශ්‍යතාවය තමයි මේ කරලා තියෙන්නේ, right? Because you have developed the product after understanding the customer. Now this is where you talk about lot of research, right? Lot of research, consumer research, basically to understand their requirements, the change in needs, right? Then the second part is anticipate. Now anticipate is where you think on behalf of the customer. Now in anticipate, you think on behalf of the customer. Sometimes when the customer, when you ask what he wants, he will not be able to tell you. For example, long time back, when they are having host cards, if you go and ask them what you want, they will tell you a better host, right? Or more comfort in the cart. Karatte lassan hadan, karatte honda loku roda dan, karatte cushion garan. Then they will tell you how to improve the karatte, because they only know the host card, they only know the asa karatte. But then if someone can think of, right, instead of the hose, can we have a motor, right? And then generate a car. They don't know car again. Because car again. They will tell, okay, how to improve the car, right? Then someone else will think, okay, why go only on the road? Why not go in the air, over the plane? So they will create that, right? So sometimes the customers, they will not tell you, but you have to think on behalf of the customer and create. Because sometimes the customers doesn't know. Right? Long time back, if you ask from a very elderly person, what do you want? A telephone, he will talk about the different shapes of the telephone. Right? Bell is sadde. Right? Parana telephone ki mobile phone. Mobile phone, if you go to early 60s, go to 60s or early 70s, they were thinking like it's a dream, right? It's something for them to laugh, right? And something for them to basically think as impossible, fiction. Michael Knight කතා කරනවා මොකෙන්ද ඔර්ලෝසුවෙන් කතා කරනවා අපිට ඉතින් මේක හරි මැජික් නේ මේ කියන මේක ඇවිල්ලා මේ මැජික් මේම ටෙක්නොලොජි නෑ ඉතින් ඒ දවස්වල කිව්වොත් එහෙම ඔර්ලෝසුවෙන් කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් ෆෝන් එක ඔර්ලෝසුවට ගේන්න පුළුවන් කියලා you will laugh මිනිහට සමහරකට පිස්සෙක් කියන්නත් පුළුවන් නේ lunatic කියන්න පුළුවන් නේ පිස්සෙක් කියලා hina වෙනවා මේ මොනවාද night rider බල්ලා වැඩියලා නැත්නම් කාටුන් බලලා වැඩියලා පිස්සුවෙන් කියවනවා right? But now what has happened? Now it has come to the watch, right? Now by using the Apple Watch, Samsung Watch, the digital watches, you can now connect your phone and talk. Look at SMSs, right? Basically take photos, right? Send SMSs, have generate calls. Now you are talking from the watch. So sometime back, where the people thought it is not possible and it is a friction, it's a story, imagination. Now today it has become a reality. So similarly, there are a lot of things that happen that way. there can be a lot of things where the customers may not tell you because they don't know that. They think it is impossible. But the innovators are marketers, are people who think on behalf of the customers and generate things that they never imagined, but where they really would like to embrace, right? We'll make a කවදාවත් මේගොල්ලෝ හිතලා නැහැ. නමුත් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ ඇතුලේ මේ need එක තියෙනවා. product එක ආවම මේගොල්ලෝ ඒක ආදරෙන් බදා ගන්න. Right? So that is anticipate. Basically, you think on behalf of the customer, you try to find out different innovative solutions for certain needs where the customer has not told you, but it's within the customer. Right? So they anticipate. So in the marketing concept, first thing is you understand, anticipate, and then you develop products and services. Right? It would make a basically what the customer wants. Right? Then understand, anticipate, and develop solutions. Right? Develop product and services. Products. Products came with the services in develop products. Right? Product is a product solution. Solution. Product is solution. Understand you try to understand
it's 10 o'clock.
Problem. Right? We call it need. Right? Need. Problem. Right. Problem mean a solution. Okay. Then make a right? Develop products and services. Right? Right marketing concept. Make you understand and anticipate the needs of the customer and develop products and services in order to satisfy, right? So satisfaction. So they're basically meeting their solution, right? Providing the solution. So value the solution. They have to value the solution, right? Solution again, right? So in the satisfaction, right? So that is value. To satisfy the customer, understand and anticipate the needs of the customers, develop products and services to satisfy them. Satisfy them. Anyone who can complete this? Brahman, are you back? Tilakaratna. Brahmana. Aruna. Aruna, any idea? No. Right. In Vidura, any idea how to complete this?
So getting the feedback from the customers?
Understand, anticipate, develop products, develop the solution, then satisfy the customer. Satisfy the customer. Right. Laksara.
Value.
Any idea? Oh, Rangana,
Exchange value.
Brahman, you also back.
Yes, just I want to say, because I'm sorry that's a little bit, let me say this personal thing. So just I am thinking about after sales service.
Yeah, after sales service is a good thing. Then we in marketing concept satisfaction satisfy there are another two things that they call satisfy the consumer. What on that you to understand, anticipate, develop products, understand needs and anticipate needs. Then you develop the product. Then you have to ensure that the customer is satisfied. And in doing that, there are two things that you have to do. Practically, we करने Right. අපි පොඩි උදාහරණයකට උපමාවක් ගන්න. You are the branch manager. That now there's a customer who comes to you, you understand his requirement, and you develop a particular package for him, right? And then now the customer is happy, right? Now, do you think just because of that the customer will buy? දැන් මේක ඇයිලා ඔයාගෙන් කතා කරලා ටක් ගාලා customer ගන්නද?
The most important part is the satisfaction of the customer. Then, then thereafter we need to actually, that is after close the sale, right? So normally in the banking sector, we are doing cross selling or something like to get another products. I mean, that is the convince the customer for the another things like that. So that the final state that we are considering about the satisfaction is most important, what I believe. And after that, the normally we are doing that is the after sales service, like so what is the satisfaction, what we had experience with the product and services with the bank and things like that. So other than that, at this moment, I have no idea about this. I mean,
right,
that is
fine. I got your point, Brahman. We will see, right? Ranga, you raised your hand. You have any...
persuade the customer to buy this product.
Persuade the customer to buy the product. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. That's more towards sales concept. Then persuade කරන්නත් ඕනේ තමයි. Persuade කරන්නත් ඕනේ. But කරන්නේ කොහොමද අපි? මේ කරනකොට
the demand using different marketing concepts.
Different marketing concepts. Right. Hari, okay, we'll see. I balance, right? Now, where we are at the marketing concept. So we said first, understand the customer, understand the customer, anticipate the needs, understand, anticipate needs. Develop products, basically the solutions. Then we say, okay, you have to you have to make sure that the customer is satisfied, easy value in it. Then, mama awa brahmanage, make කරන්න යද්දි customer ඔයාගෙන් මෙහෙම නිකම්ම ගන්නේද කියලා. Customer එහෙම ගන්නෑ. Customer will always look at the competitors. So in this definition, තව කැලලක් එනවා. මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? Better than the competitor. Better than the competitor. Better than the competitor. So basically, then ඔන්න ආව අපි තව තැනකට. Understand, anticipate, develop product, satisfaction, satisfy the customer better than the competitor.
Excuse me, that you are asking before the close. I mean, that's before the close sale. You are asking that question. Because the satisfaction. I mean, that is the satisfied the customer. The sales has been already closed. Just I got idea about that.
Okay.
So because at the last point, so we must. That is, if you want to get the things done. I mean, that is to conclude the sales. So better go for the, like in the production concept, discount. If it is a discount, the final solution will be the closest the sale.
Right. So then you may have misled the way that I have asked, right? So basically, what I was trying to tell you is you have to satisfy the customer better than the competitor. Just giving satisfaction is not enough. That's what the marketing concept say. Just giving satisfaction is not enough. Basically, you have to satisfy him better than the competitor. If not, what will happen? Now, let's say that you offer a product or a solution and then you satisfy the customer. Tomorrow, the competitor will come and say, why did you go there? I can give you a better deal. I can give you a better rate. And I can give you a better amount. Or I can give you more points or more some other benefits, right? Then what will happen? The customer will feel disappointed. So the satisfaction is අනිත් පැත්තට කරගෙන alright අපෝ අපරාධේ මම මේ කම්පියුටර් ගාවට ගියා නම් මට මේක හම්බුනා කම්පියුටර් ගාවට ගියා නම් මෙච්චර කරදර වෙන්නේ නැහැ කම්පියුටර් ගාවට ගියා නම් මට මීට වඩා හොඳ රේට් එකක් හම්බුනා මීට වඩා හොඳ පැකේජ් එකක් හම්බුනා මීට වඩා හොඳ amount එකක් හම්බුනා මීට වඩා හොඳ convenience එකක් හම්බුනා. So what will happen? The satisfaction will not last, right? Will not last. And when it comes to choice, if it happens before the choice, then if they see that I can get a better satisfaction from another competitor, then he will see that, okay, I can get a better value, so I will not come to you, right? So in marketing concept, we say you understand the problem, anticipate, and then develop product solutions and satisfy the customer. The other key word is satisfaction. Satisfy the customer better than the competitor. So if you really look at my first initial description, I told you when you are trying to do that value exchange, the value that is being given by you is always compared with the competitor. Now, when I compare value determine customer, right? So when it comes to satisfaction, you have to understand very well there is another word which is called the better than the competitor. So then definition marketing concept basically you understand and anticipate the needs and wants of the customer and develop products to satisfy the customer better than the competitor. Then make a product comprehensive. Then make a tava last one. Actually important at මොකද්ද වචන මේ ඔක්කොම කරනවා at මොනවාද you have to do it at what මේ ඔක්කොම කරාට පස්සේ අර අපි පළවෙනිම ගිය මූලික concept එකට යන value exchange එකේ value exchange correct pricing කියන්නේ රංගන අනිත් පැත්තට මොකද්ද company point of view එකේ
at the minimum cost
හරි cost එකක් තියෙනවා price එකක් තියෙනවා දැන් ඒක නෙමෙයි අපිට වටින්නේ අපිට මොකද්ද වටින්නේ
maximum
profit so we have to say competitor at a profit එතකොට මෙන්න අපි ආවා marketing concept එකේ definition එකට right now you don't have to buy hard this now you should be able to remember this very easily right what are they saying in the marketing concept understand and anticipate needs and wants of the customers develop products and services to satisfy them better than the competitor at a profit better than the competitors at a profit right so from the sales concept it moved to the marketing concept where they talked about go to the customer first and sell to get a profit. The main concept this is a pretty evolving one and sustainable. I have sustainable here. Customer venas needs and wants of the customers will change. Needs and wants you will understand and you will try to anticipate. Right? And then you develop products based on that. මේ ඔයාට ඕන product එක හදලා විකුණන්න යනකොට මෙහි need එක නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Now for example if you develop typewriters and go now and try to sell the customers will say no because they don't have a need very much need on typewriters. They are more onto now competitors. So if you try to develop products and go to the market that need may not be there right but if you have understood the customer first and then develop the product then it's pretty clear because you have developed the product for already existing problem right and then satisfy better than the competitor so that you always try to innovate develop and then do something better than the competitor so that you are at the forefront you get a competitive edge so you are always thinking about developing product this is a cycle understand develop right and then you look at better satisfaction right satisfy them better give them more value better than the competitor right so always do improvements innovations to get the competitive edge and you do all these things at a profit so that you are concerned about your profits that you are going to get so that the company is happy customer is happy sales will happen without much effort එතකොට ඔන්න කතා හරි එතකොට marketing concept එකට එනකොට ඔන්න අපි එතනට ආවා right then අපි මේක දැනගත්තට පස්සේ අපිට පුළුවන් අර කලින් කිව්ව මේ කතාවට පොඩි සොලියුෂන් එකක් මේ වෙනස් අර්ථකථනයක් දෙන්න to give a different meaning, right? So remember that I told you about a very interesting quote we used to listen when it comes to sales, right? ඒක කිව්වා මොකද්ද? Sell a fridge. Sell a fridge to an Eskimo, right? මේක අපි කිව්වා මේක සේල්ස් කරන කට්ටිය හිතුවේ ඒ දවස්වල එස්කිමෝව රවට්ටලා ෆ්‍රිජ් එකක් විකුණන එක තමයි වීර ක්‍රියාව, right? Sell a fridge to the Eskimo. Eskimoව හැකිතරම් රවටා using your communication skills, you try to sell the fridge to the Eskimo. This is what the people thought is meant by this, right? Now from the marketing point of view, now you have to look at different make a venom interpret කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා, right? So I will leave it with you and we will have a small break. Now it's 10:15, so we will try to have about how many minutes do you want? 20 minutes?
It's 10:15.
How about 20 minutes? So who can explain me about selling a fridge to an Eskimo, which was looked at as doing the most highest kapikama in sales concept? When it comes to the marketing concept, how you will do it? Anyone who wants to apply marketing concept and do this? Okay, Lakshan, yes. Can we hear from?
Yeah. So Radia, now Eskimos are normally living in a very cold environment, but only thing we can discuss is temperature is always not in the same level. So, but to keep a quality of a food, we will always need to keep constant factors like cold, and we need to avoid microorganisms. So, if they can buy a fridge, they can eat healthy foods. That's my opinion.
Yeah, very good, very good. Anyone else who wants to voice? Yes, Anuradha.
So I think that we should understand how the mode of they storage their foods, because all the foods are not required the same temperature level. The meats and are different from fruits and vegetables, and again different from pre-cooked items. And then because the coldness, the environmental factors can't be controlled by the Eskimos, but the refrigerator temperature can be controlled. And then we can introduce the mobile refrigerator units, because they are not living in the igloo in the all time, and they have hunting trips, and then they can carry the mobile refrigerator unit with their hunting trips with I think battery powered by battery converted DC to AC powered by transformer units, such like that. We can understand their requirement and introducing different products.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Lakshan and Anuradha, very good attempt. Very good attempt. Very good. Earlier it was Rangano, right? Rangano, Lakshan was good. How is it? Rangano.
Laksara, yeah.
Laksara, Lakshan.
Yeah.
Laksara, Anuradha.
It's 10:45.
Very good thinking. So you're spot on. That's how you will apply the concept. Basically, in the previous sales concept era, why they said this is that salesperson, whoever that is selling, should have the highest kapatikama to sell it to anybody, whatever you have with you, to sell it to anyone, irrespective of that person's requirement. But in the marketing concept, what is said is you basically understand the requirement of the customer, right? And then you produce the product. For example, we might produce a different type of a fridge to Eskimos, because now you have understood their problem. Their problem is the freshness of vegetables and even fresh water, right? So because they can't keep the water out because it will become too cold and sometimes it might freeze, right? So having fresh water, having fresh vegetables, right, requires a solution, right? Or so you might design a product or fridge in such a way where, as Anuradha said, where they can carry sometimes from place to place, mobile, or else where they can keep in their igloo, which will help them to basically keep the freshness of the products they want to store, and at the same time to have fresh water, right? So with that, now you have understood the problem, you will design the product, and then you will create satisfaction, and then competitors might come up with different ones and you have to do it better. And very importantly, when you do that, you must ensure that you will get a profit also. So that is how you apply this to marketing concept, taking it from the sales arena, how you redefine it, right? So with that, we can find out the key differences in the sales concept and marketing concept. Now, when you look at the sales concept, it emphasizes on the product, right? So they talk more about the product, right? They talk more about the product, and then when it comes to the marketing concept, it's customers' needs and wants. So basically, we say sales concept starts at the factory. So you produce something, and then you expect it to be pushed to the customers. Monari එකක් factory හදන එක, අපි ගාව තියෙන එක, කොහොම හරි customer දෙන එක. ඒක තමයි sales concept. The marketing concept is the reverse of it. Marketing concept එක කියන්නේ නෑ factory හදන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අහන්න තේරුම් ගන්න what they require, understand what they want, and then produce that. And then you match the needs and sell. Requirement එක හොයාගත්තා, requirement එකට අනුව product එකක් develop කරා, ඒ develop කරපු product එක ඔයා solution එක හැටියට offer කරා, right? So that is marketing. අරක starts at the factory, marketing concept starts with the customer, right? Then sales concept එකේ what happened is the company will manufacture a product based on their thinking. ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතන දේ, ඒගොල්ලෝ හොඳයි කියලා හිතන දේ they will develop, and then they will try to sell it to the customer. In the marketing concept, company will first go and understand, anticipate needs, and then only they will develop the product in the factory, right? So in the sales concept, the focus is on the sales volumes. It's volume oriented. Hakitara Mikuran, sell and go to the transactional relationship. Sell, finish, go to the other one. Sell, finish, go to the other one. More transactions you do, more the profit, right? The marketing concept it's management of profit, right? So basically you try to develop relationships and earn profit out of it by creating satisfaction, right? ගාන්දුරුකරුගේ අවශ්‍යතා හඳුනාගෙන අවශ්‍යතා සපුරාලමින් ඔහු සමග සම්බන්ධතාවයක් ගොඩනගන්න. It's more relational concept, right? Rather than a transaction, it's more towards a relationship concept, where you try to make the person happy, satisfy, and develop a relationship. In the sales concept, it's very short-term oriented. Now you want to boost the volumes and earn profit, right? But marketing concept is more long-term oriented. So they are basically looking at a sustainable business, where they create continuous product innovations to satisfy their customers and build continuous relationships. In the sales concept, there's a big emphasis on who's selling. Salesperson, right? So they say the success of the business is relying on the salesperson and the seller, right? But in the marketing concept, the success relies on how well you understand the customer. So it stresses or basically focuses on the needs and wants of the buyers and identifying those and satisfying those, rather than trying to persuade the customer and sell whatever you have. In the sales concept, basically you look at the whole business as a production thing, right? So your main focus is to produce, production oriented, right? But in the marketing concept, it's a process of satisfying customers, right? So you are looking at your focus, your weave on the marketing concept. The business is that you are in the business of satisfying customers rather than producing products, right? And in the sales concept, you are trying to reduce the cost as much as possible, right? And sell as much as possible. In the marketing concept, you are trying to innovate and create more value, right? So you are looking at creating more value using technology and developing relationships, better satisfaction. In the sales concept, you are trying to use the technology to reduce cost, right? Basically earn higher margins and to improve efficiency. Now in sales concept, basically the whole business may have their own divisions being separated and working in silos, but in marketing concepts, the departments, business operates in an integrated manner where everyone in the company, every team, from HR to finance to production to sales to marketing to whatever, engineering, all of them are geared or having one focus, that is customer satisfaction. So they are not in their individual goals, but they are going towards a one single goal related to the company, that is customer satisfaction and relationships. Now in the sales concept, basically you produce a product and there is a cost to it, and you add a profit margin and you try to sell. But in the marketing concept, the consumer determines price. That means basically you will go and ask the customer what he really requires and what price he is willing to pay. And you will have a very good understanding as to what is the threshold and what is the price that they are willing to pay, the psychology of the customer. And then you develop products to meet that, rather than producing something and trying to persuade the customers to buy even at a cost that they don't want to buy it. You're trying to create a product that will meet the pricing psychology or the pricing requirements of the customer for that particular product. So every one of us have a particular requirement. If you look at the trouser, there's a particular price we are willing to pay. If you look at a TV, there's a particular price we are willing to pay. When it is exorbitant or when it is too high, then majority of the customers may find it worth. Sometimes you may buy it giving a higher price or at a higher cost, but then at the post-purchase scenario, you may start regretting why I paid that amount, right? So basically, the pricing is a key decision when it comes to selling or basically when it comes to relationships, because pricing has to be done very carefully so that the customer is persuaded to buy at the beginning, where he feels it's value for money. On the other side, the customer at the post-purchase scenario, customer should not get disappointed that he paid the price. Right? So pricing is a very crucial element where it can create satisfaction or dissatisfaction at the post-purchase behavior also. Right? Then in the sales concept, the customer is looked at as a transaction or the last link, right? So basically you have produced the products and now you have to sell it. Once you sell it, it's finished. Now that is how you look at it in the transactional relationships under sales concept. But in the relationship-oriented marketing concept, the customer is looked at as the very purpose of the business. Now, because of the customer that we are in the business, and then it's looked at as a long-term perspective where you try to develop relationship with the customer. So now we have come up to the 4 concepts, right? Marketing concepts. Now the next one we have is the social marketing concept, which evolved over the marketing concept that we are talking about. So now I'm not telling you that this concept is over, this came, this is over, this came. No, nothing like that. Even now you can find companies following different types of concepts in doing business. So you can even look at a particular company and say, now they are still sales concept oriented, right? So some are still product concept, in the product concept, following product concept. So some companies, they follow marketing concept, but what we have realized, marketing concept is the more sustainable concept than the previous 3 in terms of competition, in terms of relationships, right? So the previous 3 was not very sustainable. The pathwagane yන්න බෑ, right? ඒක competitive edge එක pathwagane යන්න බෑ. Competition එකේ පවතින ඒ තුන උදව් වෙනවා අඩුයි, right? So production concept, product concept, sales concept, those are all good concepts, but then again, you can't sustain it, right? And you find it difficult to win by following it out in the competition. And even you win short term, long term, it will not become successful. මේ නිසා මේ concepts තුනම ගත්තාම මේ concepts තුනම අපි දැක්කා for a business it may not become very sustainable. හරි, very sustainable. දැන් එතකොට එතනින් එහාට අපි ගිහිල්ලා අපිට දැක්ක something sustainable. It can long term where we can profit, or basically where we can enjoy, where we can have a lot of growth. We saw it as marketing concept, right? So the marketing concept the world has accepted and many organizations are trying to follow. So make a karaganayadi, there was again a discussion that there has to be a further development on this, where you look at the interest of the customer as well, right? So then came to the world the social marketing concept, right? Social marketing concept. Social marketing concept එක අපි ගත්තොත් basically we can explain it with this, right? So you have the society, you have the consumer, you have the company, right? So මේක තමයි triangle එක, right? Social marketing concept. So the company is there. What is the aim of the company? Company එකේ aim එක තමයි to basically earn more profits, maximize profits, right? Profit maximization. එතකොට customer ගේ requirement එක තමයි satisfaction, and he is not bothered about long term. He wants basically a short term satisfaction. He wants a solution to his problem, and he wants satisfaction. So company එකයි customer අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය තමයි basically the company will offer a solution to the customer where he is satisfied. Customer will in return give money to the company where they earn profit, right? So customer is satisfied, company earns profit. In between there's an exchange, that is the product and services offered by the company, right? Offered by the company. But then the question is, when you are doing that, sometimes this relationship may harm the consumer and the society. The consumer and the society. For example, if you are developing a hotel to give recreation to the consumers, they will come to your hotel and enjoy, but in the meantime you may destroy the nature by cutting trees and destroying the environment, sometimes a beautiful the environment and the scenic beauty of the environment.
It's 11 o'clock.
The nature, and that is something that most of the time that we talk about. We talk about cutting trees and then damaging the reservoirs, right? All sort of things. So if you develop a hotel in such a way where you give the satisfaction to the customer, but it destroys nature, you are damaging the human welfare. You are actually basically creating some negative impact towards the society, right? So as a result of this transaction between you and the consumer, the society is at a disadvantage, is suffering, right? So similarly, you can create certain products where the consumer is happy in the short run, but in the long run, he will have problems. For example, there was a big voice in the US and the Western markets about the about the burgers, right, and some fast food, right? For example, McDonald's, KFC, so on and so forth. The chains, they had a big pressure from the customers on the fast foods that they sell. The argument is, okay, you are selling a product, for example, let's say Big Mac or some big burger, where you have a lot of calories, right? And if you consume it, you are basically, your hunger is gone. So instead of lunch, you might go and consume a burger, and it is very cheap sometimes compared to a lunch, and then you might go and enjoy it. But when you enjoy it, you get a lot of calories into your body, and that results obesity, right? Obesity, stulabha, right? So you consume a lot of you consume the burger. Sometimes you are happy. Short term, you are very happy because your stomach is full. You got it at a good price, right? And it's very tasty, and you enjoy the whole thing in the short run. But in the long run, what will happen is you take more calories, and it will lead to obesity. And obesity will lead to several other health issues, such as the blood pressure, the heart attacks, the kidney problems, liver problems, so on and so forth. Right? So, end of the day, what happens is the consumer that is taking your product is now getting damaged, or basically getting negatively impacted by your products in the longer run. Now, that is where most of the consumers raise voice on certain products even now. Recently, even the big companies like the Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, all these people went through a lot of consumer, lot of issues, even the anchor, right, and the pressure from the customers, right? So what they say is, okay, you are giving us a product which will satisfy our need, but then in the long run, our health is affected by your products, right? So then the consumer in the long run is affected. Now, when the consumer in the long run is affected, it indirectly affects the society also. How is that? Now, if a father of a company, if a father of a family take a lot of burgers after work, or while he's on his busy schedule, satisfied with the burger, he gets a high calorie intake, and then he becomes he goes into the obesity, and then he suffers from the issues. Now he's getting sick. He gets blood pressure, he gets a heart attack, or he gets a fatty liver. Now he's having a lot of problems, sugar, right? Now, as a result of that, what happens? The father dies, or father becomes weak, and he can't earn anymore, or he dies off, right? So then what happens? The family is affected. Now, when the family is affected, society. The society is affected, and all the people around him is affected. And then when he goes to take medical treatment, the medical sector has to spend money on him, and that is money earned by earned from the society as taxes. Right? So it's a burden onto the system. Right? Your tax is used to treat the obesity and the related issues. So basically, when your consumer is affected by the products you sell, it's the long term, the consumer will die and you will lose the relationship, and at the same time the society is affected as a result of that. So the company is now having a problem. Now, I told you it's not only profits, it has to be sustainable. Now, if you give the consumer a good product, this particular consumer might eat burgers from you for let's say 10 years. But if you give him a very inferior product, maybe after 5 years, he will die with a heart attack, or he will get sick and he will not be able to take burgers. So it affects the company also, because the customer you are having is going to get affected, and as a result of that, he is not going to give you business anymore, or you might lose the customer before his real life expectancy. So if you look at the lifetime concept, how long the customer will deal with you, you are actually shortening the lifetime of the customer, and you are indirectly taking a loss as a result of that. So now the action between the consumer and the company has an impact on all three: the consumer, company, and very importantly, the society. Okay? So therefore, in the social marketing concept, it is said, when you are offering solutions to the customer, it's very important that you look at the human welfare or the welfare of the society as well and become responsible for what you offer. Right? So you have to be responsible for the consumer, his well-being, and to make sure that what you offer will not harm the consumer. And at the same time, you have to be responsible for the society, where you are certain that you offer something that will not harm the social well-being or the human welfare or the society at large. Right? So in doing business, you have to be responsible for your customers and for the society. So that is what the social marketing concept is talking about. So even if you go to the foreign countries, even if you go to Singapore, if you take the fast food chains and you take one of their brochures, you will see that with the burger, what is the amount of calories you take. So you have the burger advertised, you have the ingredients, and on the side of it, it will tell you how much calories that you take. And so that gives you information. At the same time, now recently, even in Sri Lanka, it was implemented the color codes. Right? Sometimes the consumers don't read the descriptions or basically the ingredients, and they are difficult. They find it difficult to understand things. But it is easy if they see colors to understand. So now you have sugar, salt, and there's another one: sugar, salt, and what is the other one? Fat content. When you take a drink bottle, you get that, right? Sugar, salt, and fat. Sugar, salt, and fat. And now those are the main three ingredients that will basically harm your health, right? So now you see the labels, right? In the label, you find it is giving you color codes. If it is having so much sugar, it will show sugar red color. And then if it is less, then you get the orange color. Then if it is no sugar, the green color. Then salt, if it is high salt content, red. If it is not, the orange, and no salt, it will be green. Right? So the color codes shows the consumer the amount of these ingredients in the product he consumes. Now, very recently, actually it is very helpful. Sometimes we also don't know. I used to take ginger biscuits and cookies, the milk cookies, milk shortcakes, right? The cookies. And when I was looking at the difference between the ginger and the milk cookies, I thought the milk cookies have more sugar. Right? Milk cookies can so I thought milk cookies have more sugar than the ginger biscuit. But when I was comparing after this color codes, I found ginger biscuits have more sugar compared to the cookies. Then when I was looking at it, I found that they have to add more sugar to make sure that the taste is balanced because it's ginger biscuit. So ginger biscuits, where I thought has less sugar and I used to prefer over milk cookies, I realized after these color codes that ginger has more sugar than the cookies, right? So now consumer is aware, so he can select, he can decide to buy ginger or cookies looking at that, right? And when you take now a drink bottle, but you can see how much of sugar that it has, right? So you can compare a Coke with soda or basically tonic, or else with Fanta, Potelo. You can compare and see the amount of sugar content it has by looking at the color codes. So basically that is giving more information to the customer. So likewise, the companies have to make sure the customer is educated properly, and then they does the best to the customer without having harmful content in the products that they sell, right? So when they do that, it gives them a competitive advantage. Number one is competitive advantage. Why? Because they will go and tell to the customers we are a socially responsible company. Now you don't have to worry about taking our products because we make sure that we do the best to you, right? So when you have such a thing, now the consumers start believing you, and then they will come for your brand. For example, after the, now this is only within the class for learning purposes, after that incident where the anchor was hit with the DCT issue and all sort of things, now there was a sudden demand on Highland, right? Sudden demand on Highland. Now people started thinking, okay, Highland does not have more harmful content, so therefore it's very good. And there were some companies who started advertising saying that we make sure we are responsible, that we don't have any bad things for your health, so therefore come to us, right? So sometimes you can make sure you can go and tell to the consumers that you have more better products for their health, better products for their well-being, and as a result of that you might get a competitive advantage. Then the second part is a positive brand image. So when you hear such things, when you create the whole PR articles and PR campaigns over that, and when you show yourself as a socially responsible company, the people will start having a positive brand image towards you as a very responsible company. As a result of that, they will have less fear, less doubt in dealing with you, right? So even the banks now they talk about green concept, the carbon footprint, and how responsible they are, right? Now that will create a positive image towards the bank. So they will think, okay, this bank is a bank where they think about the human welfare, think about the society. So if I bank with this particular bank, then I will get a better treatment. So they will come to you sometimes, right? So basically, if you say, okay, from every there some time back there was in the Sampath Bank, they used to say, okay, from every set card that you purchase, we contribute something to the environment. So very good. Now in the Maliban, they say every Maliban milk packet that you take, we will contribute to release a cow, Abedana, right? Abedana Vyapruti. So I saw some very old people, they used to say, if we buy Maliban, we are doing some merit, right? So then positive brand image, because you are talking about the how you will contribute to the society's well-being, so that the people will, it will be a motivator for them to look at your product. Then the third factor is that when you go on to this concept, it will be easy for you to build long-term relationships, because you are going to build trust and you are going to build a very positive image towards your brand, so that the customers will remain with you as a result of that. So they might even pay a little bit of a higher amount and stay with you, considering your approach to basically look at the human welfare, society, and well-being of the consumer. So they will start trusting you and paying, even they will pay a premium to stay with you, right? So very simply, the marketing concept has evolved, or basically there was a little bit of addition to it now, and we are right now we are looking at social marketing concept, where you understand the needs of the customer, understand and anticipate the needs of the customer, develop products and services to satisfy the customer better than the consumer at a profit in a responsible manner towards the consumer and the society. Right? In a responsible manner towards the consumer and the society. Now that we know all these five concepts, we have to understand that a company can run on any other concept that we have talked about. Right? Run on any other concept we have talked about, but it is very clear for us that if some company is trying to go for the social marketing concept, that will become a very successful proposition for them to have a long-term good relationship and achieve our objective. What is the objective? Maximize profit and to have sustainability, long sustainability. So මෙතන තමයි මේ concepts පහ ගැන අපි කතා කරන්නේ. ඒතකොට මේ concepts පහ කතා කරනකොට when you look at marketing concept and the social marketing concept, now you find now all these two concepts are talking about relationships. So these two concepts is more telling you more that it's very important that you develop relationships. Relationships. එතකොට එහෙමනම් මේ concepts දෙකත් එක්ක අපිට හම්බෙනවා යම් කිසි concept එකක් where they talk about customer relationships, right? ඒතකොට එහෙමනම් අපි based on that අපි යමු ඉස්සරහට කොහොමද මේ relationship ගැන කතා කරන්නේ. Right. Now let's come to the financial services environment. Financial services environment එකේ we have to understand we are selling more a service. අපි මොකද sell කරන්නේ? අපි product එකකට වඩා sell කරන්නේ මොකක්ද? Service එකක් නේ. So we don't have telephones, we don't have books, pens, එහෙම නෙමෙයි. So we have a service. Okay? So when you are in the service industry, it is even more challenging to sell products or market products than in the production business, right? Right. ඇයි අපි කියන්නේ products වලට වඩා services challenging කියලා. අපි මේක කතා කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා කාට හරි ඒක ගැන අදහසක් ප්‍රකාශ කරපුවාද? Can anyone tell why I say marketing services is pretty challenging than products කියලා? Anyone? මොකද හිතන්නේ? කියන එක හරිද වැරදිද? විදුර මොකද හිතන්නේ? Are you agreeing with me when I say marketing services is more challenging than selling products?
Yes, I can agree with you because we are directly involving with the people. That's why.
Right. So the product or people involved?
So we are providing service from one person to another person directly. That's why we are we are servicing the people.
It's more challenging
face to face. Yeah, it is we involve with the people face to face. That's why because we meet different people. That's why it is very challenging.
Right. So that's what your point of view. Okay, good Vidura. Thanks. Anyone else? Dilshani මොකද හිතන්නේ? Dilshani Jaising, right? Dilshani, what is your view? Is it more challenging? Dilshani is getting late to connect. Damayanti, what do you think? Damayanti, no. Damayanti, what do you think? Is it more challenging? So Damayanti is also taking time to think. How about Rangana?
Yes, financial services are intangible. Therefore, it is really hard to compare with another product, and it is more about the perception of the customers towards the service that we provide. So
you find it very difficult, is it?
Yes.
Right. Rangana, what do you mean by intangible? Yeah, can you describe me what you mean by intangible and it's difficult?
Because in services, almost competitors and us, we are offering the same product wise features and all, but the way we deliver it to the customer may be the difference on the minds of the customer on our product.
Right. Okay. So that is Rangana's point of view. Abhi hamu kauda pe Brahman, if you are there, do you agree with me selling services?
Yes, that is simply we can say there is tangible and intangible because the product like you can touch, that is a touchable thing. Like in the services, you can it is not touchable. So the product you can experience, just you can see the product, you can touch the product, you can experience the product, and so many things you can follow in like the product like that. But if it is a services, that is intangible. I mean, so that is the product you have to give in the something the little bit the different approaches to service the product and the deliver the product. So that is simply we can explain about these product and services, and that is the more challenging in the terms of the financial, like giving the services, like the deliver the service. That's the thing.
Right. Okay. So Aman also gave a very good answer. So all of you are like now moving towards the concept. So intangibility, yes, it plays a major role when you say it's challenging. Anyone else who wants to say their views on my statement? Selling products, selling services are more challenging than selling products. Anyone else? Yes, Dilusha. Dilusha.
The quality of the service depend on the person.
Dilusha, pronounce Dilusha. Dilusha.
Dilusha.
Yes, Dilusha. Yeah.
The quality of the service mainly depend on the person who's delivering it. So I think that's why it's more challenging.
Right. Okay. So Dilusha is having that perspective. Right. So let's discuss about it. Right. So when you say services have some very unique characteristics. Then one thing you all told, that is intangible. Intangible. Right? So the services is some value offered by one person to another person, which is intangible and inseparable. It cannot be separated from the person who offers it. It is variable, right? It varies from time to time, from person to person, and which is essentially will not create any ownership with the other part. Services ගැන කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ කියන්නේ මොනවාද? ඇයි මේක මෙච්චර challenging වෙන්නේ? එතකොට මේකේ CRM එකේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම මොකක්ද මේ services පැත්තේ ඉන්නකොට ඇයි ඒක වැඩිපුර වැදගත් වෙන්නේ? Right. First one, අපි ගමු intangible, concept of intangible. So some were saying that intangibility was about feeling it from the senses, 5 senses. Okay? So when you have a product, it's tangible කියලා කියනවා. අයියේ කෙනෙක්ව බලන්න පුළුවන්, කපන්න පුළුවන්, කොටන්න පුළුවන්, හොඳක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේක එන්නේ tangible. Right? 5 senses වලින් ඔයාට මේක experience කරන්න පුළුවන් before you buy, right? No, that is very right. Now if you say, right, okay, I want to buy a laptop. So you can basically open the laptop, look at the color, basically take it to your hand and see the weight of it, right? And the whether it is thin or not, the resolution, speed. If it is a phone, you can check the phone, right? Photo selfie how clear it is, right? You can take it to your hand, you can see the color, you can see the weight, you can see the screen resolution and the clearness, sharpness, the design, and then you can decide. You can decide whether to buy or not. So that's very that is the tangibility aspect of products. So services go. Now intangibility is defined in this way. Intangibility can define intangible kila kiyanne, you have no way, or basically you are unable to assess or come to a conclusion or understand a particular product before you purchase it. Intangible. If you look at the definition of intangible, that it says you are unable to assess, so basically you are unable to understand, experience, or basically realize about the product by using your 5 senses before you purchase it. So mostly intangible products actually you start realizing it while you are consuming. ගන්න ගමන් තමයි ඒක තේරෙන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා. Or maybe after purchasing. After using, you can come to a conclusion about the value of the service. So the value of the service, so about the service that you are going to have, you have no idea. Unlike products, the mobile phone, you have an idea what you are buying. Pen, bulb, computer, you have even for the, in that case, furniture, you have an idea what you are buying. You can see it, you can feel it, you can understand it, sometimes you can smell it, you can taste it. දොදොල් කෑල්ලක් නම් ඒක සුවඳ බලලා පොඩ්ඩක් කෑල්ලක් කාලා නේ එහෙමනේ දොදොල් ගන්න කියලා. දොදොල් පොඩි කෑල්ලක් කාලා මේ සුවඳ බලලා ටෙක්ස්ට් එක බලලා smoothness එක බලලා එබෙනවද කියලා බලලා ඒ වාර එහෙම ගන්නවා, right? So you can understand it before you purchase. Service එහෙම නැහැ. For example, now you have been told that there is a lecture on CRM. The main lecture, whether it is good or bad, you have still not realized, because I still have some time to go. You will realize it only when I finish the lecture. Only when I finish the lecture. Or during the lecture, you might realize some part of it, whether it is good or bad. You can come to some understanding. But if I have to ask you the question whether the lecture is good or bad, whether it is worth the money you paid or not, that has to be asked after the lecture, after you consume, after you experience, right? And maybe a financial advice you give. For example, when it comes to Dilushi Maidane, she was into this trading platform, so she's into money market. But then if you look at the shares, let's say that the financial advice you give. Now, if you are a broker, you might give a financial advice, right? So you might say, okay, this share might go up, so if you invest, you might earn a lot of money. This share might go down, you better sell it off. You have this mix of portfolio. Now you give the financial advice. Now, whether the advice is good or bad, right, that will be realized after some time by the customer. At the time of giving, the customer is clueless whether it will work or not. Same with the doctor. When the doctor gives medicine, you will realize whether you will die or you will get cured after you consume it, right? And go through the advices. Right? Even when it comes to a haircut, you will realize whether the haircut is good or bad after having the haircut, not before. You can't go to a salon and tell me, "Mata mehema haircut hambeyi කියලා." හිතන්න බෑනේ. So you don't have the Hanumas Anjanam also to see what kind of haircut I will get if I go to this salon. You can't, right? So basically you have to take the haircut and then only you have to see whether it is good or bad. Same with makeup, same with bridal dressing, same with photography. Okay? So the wedding එකේ photography එක දුන්නාට පස්සේ photo ගැහුවට පස්සේ තමයි බලන්න ඕනේ හොඳද නැද්ද කියලා. හරි. ඒක නැත්තම් ආයි බඳින්න වෙනවා. නේ? අයි photographs අවුල් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ආයි ඉතින් wedding එක ගන්න photo ගන්න කියලා. So very, very, very critical. So intangibility is a very critical aspect of service, which actually create a lot of dissonance in the customers, doubt in the customers. මේක තමයි හරිම අමාරු වැඩේ විකුණන්න. Because you are trying to sell something that he will not have any understanding about the outcome. Right? So photography na I will get a good photograph of you during the wedding. The wedding you now බලන්න photograph හොඳට අරගෙනද නැද්ද කියලා. නැත්නම් ඉතින් ආයි බඳින්න. මාර ප්‍රශ්න. එතකොට bridal dressing. අන්දවන්න කියලා වැරදිට කැතට ඇඳුවොත් මොකද කරන්නේ? Makeup, haircut ගන්න ගියාම ඔන්න haircut එක දෙනවා කියලා ඔළුව තට්ට ගියා මේ කොණ්ඩේ තට්ට ගියාවොත් මොකද කරන්නේ? So very difficult. So the services we were talking about that okay, the services are basically very challenging to sell because of 4 unique characteristics. First characteristic is intangibility, right? So intangibility, what we say is here that before you purchase a product, it is not possible for you to understand what the product is and how it will help before consuming the product, right? So if you really look at the definition, it says before you consume the product, it is impossible for you to understand what you are going to consume. For example, they might say, okay, there is a CRM lecture, you pay money and attend to the lecture. So you pay money and you attend the lecture, and until the lecture is over, you can't understand whether the lecture is good or not. Now, at the middle of it, you might get some idea whether this lecture is worth the money I pay or not. But for you to say whether the lecture you received is good or bad, worth the money or not, you have to wait until the end of the lecture. Perhaps I might say you have to wait until 10 lectures to say that. Whether the product offered by the IBSL is good or bad. Why? Because IBSL is offering you a service. So for you to say, understand whether this particular module on CRM is good or bad, whether it added value to me or not, you have to wait until the end of the lecture series. And even one by one, you have to say whether this lecture is good or bad or good or bad. So you will only realize whether the service is good, bad, or value for money after consuming the service. Before consuming, you have no idea. Now, same with the haircut. Now, when you go to a salon, until you get the haircut, you don't have no idea whether the haircut will be good or bad. So it's a pretty risk that you are doing, right? So you go and allow someone to cut your hair without knowing what will happen at the end. Even if we make you bald, you will not. You can't predict it before. Because you have no idea. Now, same with the financial advisors, right? I was telling, right, okay, you might go and say this share might go up, this share might go down, or you have this portfolio of shares. You may advise, but whether it will work, whether it will become profitable, whether it will give you return, that has to be decided after some time. So you can't have any idea whether the advice is right or wrong, whether advice is correct or not, before the advice is implemented. So you have to take the advice, do it, and wait and see whether it is good or bad. Same with the medical, right? So the doctor gives you medical advices, whether you will die or whether you will get cured, you have to wait and see. So after you implement the advice only, you will realize whether you have whether you have taken the right advice or not. So before you take that advice, you have no way. Same with the bridal dressing, right? So you go and take that service, and only after he dress you up, or the person dress you up, you will realize whether I have been dressed properly or not. Same with the photography, right? So you get the photography service, and whether he will do a proper job and take in proper photographs of the wedding depends. Right? Then photo. You have to have the wedding again. So big risk, isn't it? Huge risk, right? So this is the problem with the services. So if you are a photographer, saying or convincing a buyer, saying that come to me and I will take the right photographs during your wedding, is a very challenging task than selling a camera. So if you want to sell a camera, you can tell the customer, okay, you take a photograph and see, you look at the features, you turn the camera, you look at the weight, you look at the design, you look at the size, weight, and you decide. You can basically make him experience the camera and decide whether he wants to buy or not. But wedding photography service, you can't make him experience. You can't tell him you have a sample wedding and then we'll have another one. It's very difficult. Right? So it's very, very difficult. And even when it comes to musicians, very difficult to market them. Right? Whether they will do a good job or not depends. So the consumer who's buying services is finding it very difficult to decide, because he has to decide whether the service or the experience he gets is good or bad, right or wrong, valuable or not valuable, only after consuming the service. So එතකොට මේක හරිම challenging task එකක් to convince a customer to come to you. Second factor is inseparability. Inseparability means that the service that you offer and the person that offers the service, you can't separate. You can't separate lecture from the lecturer. So whatever the lecture that I give is depend on me. It depends on my knowledge, experience I have, right? And my communication skills. So I deliver a particular lecture to you based on my competency. And you can't basically talk about lecture and the lecturer separately. Basically, this same lecture can be done by another lecturer in a totally different manner. This same set of slides I can give to another lecturer and he will do a totally different job. Right? So, what you hear as the lecture is dependent on the lecturer. So, same with the doctor. The advice that is given by the doctor depends on the doctor. If you go for the same ailment to different doctors, they will give you different advices. And even your financial advisors are dependent from branch manager to manager, person to person. So when he goes to a particular bank, particular branch, he get a particular advice and a particular offer. When he goes to another bank, he might advise in a different way. So everybody will not advise in the same way. Right? Even if you look at the stockbroker, one stockbroker might say, okay, these shares will go, you buy. Another stockbroker might say, no, don't buy those shares, you buy these. And some might say the market will go up, some might say market will go down. So based on that, you might decide what to buy or sell, or buy now or sell now. Right? So that depends on the broker. So service, and same with the other areas, the photography depends on the photographer. Whether the photographer has the skill to do that. And it all depends on that photographer's mood also at that time, right? So whoever that is giving the service, because it's dependent on the person, that person's, the changes of that person changes the service also. Now, for example, if the photographer is skillful, he will take very good photos. If the photographer is angry, he might create a bad experience for you. If the photographer is happy, he might create a better experience for you. So the changes in the person, the person's competency, person's mood, right, his skills, for the service that you give. Now the biggest challenge is, now when you have 4,000 to 10,000, 5,000, 6,000 employees in a bank, how can you make sure that everybody will give the same service? A bank has certain expectation on the service quality, right? But how are you going to ensure that all 4,000 or 10,000, 7,000, 6,000 people will give the same quality? How do you ensure the entire branch network from 200 branches to 400 to 500 branches, all branches will give the same quality? Because different people, different managers, right? So the service that is given to the customer will depend on the person. And the service quality that is being given will be judged based on the person who gives the service. So very difficult for an organization like a bank to manage the service quality across the board. Across the board, right? And always remember, the customer will say the bank is good or bank is bad, not because the bank is bad, but because the experience that he has with the person giving the service. Right? So one teller in the same bank, same branch, same counter might give a very friendly, speedy service, whereas the other teller, who's not having a good mood, will give a very slow, very lethargic, unfriendly service. So whoever that goes to the person who's giving that unfriendly service will say the bank is bad, service is not good, whereas the same counter, the other counter, the person will say bank is superb, speedy and friendly. Now, there's nothing to do with the bank. Sometimes the people might say bank is horrible. Sometimes the people might say bank is superb, not because the bank is horrible or superb by itself, but because of his experience maybe with the customer care agent or the call center agent, or maybe the front line at a particular branch level, or a salesperson of the bank. Okay? And the same person who say bank is superb when dealing with one manager might say the bank is now bad dealing with another manager. There's nothing to do with the bank, whether the bank is good or bad, but it's all about the person who's dealing with you, right? So service encounters decides or basically determines customers' attitude towards the organization, bank, and that is largely determined by the person who provides the service, because service cannot be separated from the person, right? Separate කරන්න බෑ. Now දැන් අපි product එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන්. කවුරු machine එකේ හිටියත් machine එක හදන්නේ එකම product එක, right? You can have two different machine operators, but if the machine needs to do pens, they will create same ballpoint pen, same mug, same dish, right? So machines you can control, but when it comes to services and the people, you can't control. Very difficult to maintain service quality. Then the third factor is variability. Now this service you get will vary from person to person, time to time, place to place, right? So the example I took is the bank teller. The bank teller who is very happy, jovial, friendly, and having a very relaxed mood in the morning, and who will give you a super service, may become very busy, very stressful, very less friendly when it comes to the peak hours, right? So the jovial fellow who had a chat and a good time with you in the morning may not do the same when you go to him during the peak hours. He's more stressed now to handle the queue. And maybe in the evening, towards the working hours, he's very tired. And if you try to rush in after 3 o'clock, or maybe after the bank is closed, or just before the bank is closed, he might look at you like a very kharadarakar, right? And because he's very tired, and he may not give you a good service happy. So sometimes, depending on the time of the day, depending on the mood of the person who provides the service will differ. The same person may give different service. The same person, when he's angry, it's one type of service. When he's happy, one type, right? When he's stressful, a different way. When he's not stressed, relaxed, a different way. So same person during the same in the same bank, from time to time he might change, and the service provided will also change, right? So service is variable from time to time, mood to mood, place to place, person to person, right? So if you get a good competent person, a good competent friendly manager, that branch will provide a super service and the customers will get satisfied. If you get a very incompetent, unfriendly manager, that same bank, that particular branch will become unpopular. So it is nothing to do with the bank or the branch, but sometimes mostly to do with the manager who's handling it. Right? So it's variable. So because of inseparability and variability, sometimes hiring other people in the service sector, hiring the people with right competence, right skills, may give a competitive advantage to you over the others. For example, if there is a very friendly, skillful, competent manager in a particular branch of a bank, the other bank might pay double the salary and take him. So once they take the branch manager, they will be able to take a competitive advantage over the other bank, right? So there is a high value to the person factor, the person per se, when it comes to service environment, and there can be more value that is given to you, that more payment given to you if you become so valuable, because they want the service. So they want the service that you offer and the satisfaction that you offer to the customer, they have to hire you. So that's it. So basically, by the companies have to be very careful when they hire and make sure that the environment is properly managed, the work levels, workloads are properly managed, the volumes are properly controlled, so that they will give a quality service consistently. It's very challenging task. The last factor is when it comes to services, there's no ownership. You can basically go and buy a mobile phone and you own the mobile phone. You buy furniture, you own the furniture. And you buy a pen, bulb, book, you own that, right? So you have the ownership of the product. but you can't have ownership of a service. Right? So I will give my lecture to you, you will listen to my lecture, but you can't own me. Right? You can't own the lecture also. A singer might come and sing some nice songs, you will enjoy the song and you will have a good experience, but you can't own the song or you can't own the singer. Right? So basically you can't, you can enjoy the service, you can experience the service, but you can't own it. You can't keep it with you. You can't own the person gives it or the service. So there's no ownership created when it comes to services. So these are the key unique characteristics that you see in services that creates a huge challenge for the service marketers to sell their products. Now, as a result of these, there is a big dissonance in the customers, or basically in a simple word, I would say doubt in customers when they try to purchase services, right? So basically, there is high dissonance whether this will work or not. For example, if you want to hire a wedding photographer for your wedding, before you hire, there's a lot of things running in your mind, right? You had a big doubt whether this person will do a good job, right? Whether this person will take the right photographs and in my special moment, bridal dressing, whether this person will make me look better during my wedding. Now you can't repeat it, right? So a lot of doubt. Then even when it comes to financial advisors, whether to invest my money the way this person says. Now, for example, the person might say, okay, you invest money, you will earn a profit on this share portfolio, but whether to do it or not, it's a big doubt. Right? So whether to go to the salon and give my hair to someone that I don't know, to trusting him to give a good haircut. These are all very risky decisions. So you have a lot of doubt, dissonance, basically uneasiness, වික්ෂිප්තභාවය, සැකය, සංකාව වැඩි මේ services purchase කරද්දී. ඒක නිසා මේ selling services is very difficult, very challenging, right? So because of these qualities, එහෙමනම් මේ services sell කරද්දී relationships are critical. Relationships are critical because people tend to ask from others, right? People tend to go and look at reviews and basically talk to their peers, the relations, friends, to get idea, because they want to clear the dissonance. අඩු කරගන්න ඕනේ. මේ doubt එක නැති කරගන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ අහනවා, අහලා බලනවා, reviews බලනවා, කලින් අය කියපුවා බලනවා, right? So then other thing is relationship එක කොහොමද? If you have a strong relationship, then they will believe you, right? Now if you have been a person who has been advising them for some time and you have given some good advices and you have made them satisfied, when you give another advice, they will accept you. Right? And if you are a lecturer who has been doing good lectures and good trainings, when you develop a new lecture module or when you go for a new training program, the people will come to you because they will trust that you will do a good job. Right? So when you develop relationships, the dissonance will go down. Obey that. Basically, the doubt or the uneasiness will go down. Right? So relationships helps you to reduce dissonance. But when there is no relationship, the dissonance or the doubt is high. කවදාවත් දැකලා නැහැ, දන්නේ නැහැ, මේ කලින් නැත්තම් doubt එක high. But relationship එකක් තියෙනවා නම් your doubt is, dissonance is less. At the same time, if you have built good relationships with other customers and they are promoting you, then there's a higher chance that they will reduce the dissonance or the doubts of other consumers who wants to come to you, right? Don't worry, මෙයාගේ bridal dressing is superb, බය නැතුව යන්න. මෙයාගේ photography is superb, බය නැතුව යන්න. මෙයාගේ මේ trainings are very good, බය නැතුව යන්න. මෙයාගේ financial advisors very good, මේ broker බය නැතුව ඔයා ගිහිල්ලා ඔයා invest කරන්න සල්ලි. මේ බය නැතුව මේ branch එකට යන්න, මේ branch manager will give you the superb advices. මෙයාගේ advisors ගත්තොත් business එක දියුණු වෙනවා. මේ branch එකත් එක්ක business කරන්න. So likewise, the people, when you have developed the relationships by satisfying people around people, that will help you indirectly to sell services because that will help to create a positive environment to reduce dissonance of the new customers. At the same time, existing customers will have less doubt or dissonance to deal with you when you have good relationships, right? So, relationships and service marketing challenges අතර ලොකු සම්බන්ධයක් තියෙනවා, ලොකු impact එකක් තියෙනවා, right? Now, having said that, I also wish to draw your attention to a very critical word that is here, that is the financial services. Financial services. Financial services venas when. Now, in financial services, it's illusion, right? It's illusion, right? Basically, the financial services meet the dama. Then, for example, you go and say to the customer, "Come and deposit money." Right? Let's say that you have gone and deposited 5,000 rupees in the bank, and the customer expects you to keep the 5,000 rupees, give him some interest also, and he thinks my 5,000 rupees in the bank. Now, is this 5,000 rupees in the bank? Make a bank with you. Do you keep the deposits very safely in your vaults without doing anything? The customer is in name. Customer is man dapu salary ටික බැංකුවේ ඇති කියලා. දැන් බැංකුවේ තියෙනවද ඔය salary ටික? මොකද කරන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ බැංකුවේ salary දාපුවා? ලක්ෂර මොකද කරන්නේ බැංකුවට දාන salary ටික? ගෙදර අරන් යනවද නැහැ?
Reinvesting.
Reinvest. කොහොමද ලක්ෂර මොකද කරන්නේ බැංකුවේ salary ආපුවා? deposit ආපුවා. deposit අරන් මොකද කරන්නේ?
Sometimes we are buying some bonds from other financial institutions, or likewise we are going to many investments. Like,
all right, so basically whatever the money that is given, put into your Lakshar, where are you working?
Chartered Institute of Accounting.
Chartered Institute of Accounting, right? Okay. In the salary you will go and invest. Dinesh was the grant.
We lend the money.
Yeah, you lend the money. Right. How the pay money market. Right, okay. So if you are, Dilshani, මොකද කරන්නේ සල්ලි දාපුවම?
We reinvest it back into other investment portfolios.
So you invest in
other securities. Yeah.
Security, right? Security එක invest
කරනවා.
Yeah. එතකොට දැන් මේ දාන සල්ලි ඕගොල්ලෝ ගාව නැහැනේ බලන් ගියා. So the customer is coming and putting money, expecting money to be in the bank. But now money is not there in the bank. What have you done? You have basically gone and invested. So you have taken deposits and you have gone and lent deposits, and you may have gone and invested in some other securities, right? So basically you don't have the money of the customer with you. Now we actually learned something called maturity transformation when it comes to banking, right? The maturity transformation talks to us and say is a concept where it says you create long-term assets using short-term deposits, right? Short-term assets. So you take short-term liabilities, and you create long-term assets. Now, what is that? Short-term liabilities are short-term deposits. Long-term assets, long-term loans, right? So you take the deposits for 1 year fixed deposit, 5 years maximum most of the time, and then savings, current accounts, on demand, and basically you have all these short-term deposits. But you go and lend for 15 years, 10 years, housing loans, project loans, so on and so forth. Now you are taking short-term deposits and lending long-term, and basically you are doing it considering the law of large numbers. You are thinking that everybody will not come and withdraw money. Every day the bank is getting money. Some customers are renewing their deposits, and only very few withdrawals. Percentage is less, and at the same time, everybody who will approve the loans will not take it at once. Now all those assumptions will be there. Now all those assumptions depends on one thing. If you drill down, it all depends on one thing, that is the trust of the public. So if there is public trust, you will survive, because only few will come and ask for money, right? The majority will renew their deposits, and you will get new deposits every day, and basically only few will take their deposits and go away from the bank. So then you are happy, right? හැබැයි මේක දැන් ලොකු illusion එකක්. ඔයා කියනවා customer වාගේ සල්ලි ටික මම ගාව තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඔයා ගාව ඇත්තටම සල්ලි නැහැ. You have lent it. You have gone and invested it, right? So you are running this particular circle, and then you are basically covering up your liabilities when it is due. Then make a කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ relationship එක මේ trust එක තියෙන එක. දැන් trust එක බිඳුනොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? මිනිස්සු ඔක්කොම ඇවිල්ලා සල්ලි ඉල්ලුවොත්, everybody comes and asks you money, you can't give because you don't have, because you have already invested your lend. Right? So you are in trouble. So that's why that's where the bank runs happen, right? So when the public trust is lost, then the people come running to your bank asking money, and then you can't give it. Even if you are a strong bank, you will not be able to survive, and so you will fall anyway. And so when there is a loss of trust, that is very harmful to the banking institution. So the people will come and basically demand their money, and then you will go bust, right? So you will go for you will get bankrupt, right? So when it comes to the financial services industry, the trust is utmost important. Trust is utmost important, and that is the most important. If you lose trust, then you can't be in the business. Now, at the same time, relationships are critically important, because when you have relationships, you can manage situations, and there will be more trust on you, and then it is easy for you to handle even difficult situations. But if you don't have more relationships and trust is built over relationships, then when it comes to a little bit of a shock or a little bit of a difficult time, you find that it is very difficult for you to manage your customers, right? So trust is critical for you to manage your business, and the trust is a byproduct of good relationships. So if you have good relationships, it's very easy for you to handle your business, manage the risk of the business, and basically get them to stay with you, or basically come to you for their monetary requirements. So they basically need financial needs, right? And remember, financial when it comes to financial factors, the money, it's very sensitive.
It's 12:15.
Right? People earn money with a lot of difficulty, and people will not be happy to give away their money easily, right? Because they have earned it with a lot of difficulty. It's a scarce resource. It is costly. So basically, they will not be willing to give away their money. They are very, very much concerned about the security of their money. So when you develop relationships, it's easy for you to convince and reduce dissonance. Doubt take a reduce for them to come to your bank and deal with their most sensitive financial requirements, right? Most sensitive financial requirements, right? So ඔන්නෝදන තමයි අපි මේ එන්නේ. එතකොට මේ financial services environment එකේ CRM කියන එක not only important for you to maximize the profit, but it is very, very critical for you to handle the risk, market your services, and also to have sustainability. Right. So now this is theory. That make a practically harder. Then practically maybe the challenges in other. What do you think? May relationships, may financial services environment may challenges what help karna da. Will building relationships help us to market the services despite these challenges as we have described? Anybody who's having their view, what do you think? Practically important.
Exactly, sir, because we practically experience that some customers, I mean, especially the customers who obtain loans with a long time period relationships are still with us. They trust the bank and always communicate with us and to solve their problems. Sometimes several customers are there, they are just keen on interest rate and just switch to other banks. No long run relationships, just on the financial interest only.
When you are trying to market your products, do you think that the relationships helps to manage these challenges that we just talked? intangibility or service quality?
Yeah, because that quality of our services always hit to maintain our customer base and the market share, and then because sometimes we heard some complaints to on the other hand, because of the lack of knowledge of the staff, lack of sharing or lack of communication to the customers. I think that the relationship is must.
Yeah, so that helps you to market your products, right?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Anuradha. Dilusha. Dilusha, what do you think? Dilusha Banda. Dilusha? Dilusha may be doing something. We'll ask from Brahmana. Brahmana, do you think that having relationships is important to manage the challenges?
Yes, of course, yes. The relationship is most important to build up our, that is when we are doing the banking transactions and everything. So it is very, very important. But just I say something about before the pandemic situation, it was very, very important, and we always concerned about this factor, the customer service and how to build the long-term relationships and everything. But just after this pandemic situation, we are restricted some banking hours and everything in the very certain extent. So after this situation, sometimes we are more encouraging the customers to operate online banking and do all the things under not in a human manner. There is not the touch of the human. So we always encourage them to do the online banking transfers between banks, even the SEPT and SLIP transfers and everything. So then now the time has changed. Like the relationship is most important, but now the things and the environment and the situation around not only the country, like that is a global issue. So now it's converted into sometimes, just my personal point of view, just I want to say, but the relationship is most important. No need to say about that. But now it has been changed to the digital, the platform. So everyone looking at this, and we also encourage them to not the cashless banking. So no need to come to the bank. You can do all the transactions through internet, the platform, and you can do any the payments of electricity bill, utility bills and everything. So so we need to change. So now the situation has been changed. Don't know whether how long it will take. Another 2-3 years we have to survive with this pandemic situation. There is with Corona, right? These days also the lockdown situation. So need to be changed. I think the relationship is most important. There's no need to say about that. It's my the personal point of view.
Yeah, you're 100% spot on, my Brahmana, because I think we also have a session to discuss on this, because now we are moving on to digital platforms. But when the volumes are high and you want to keep your operational cost down, digital solutions are really working. But when it comes to digital, again, it's very arguable, and sometimes you debate on that. Sometimes the relationships that you develop may not as strong as that you develop through a physical contact by meeting a customer. However, having said that, the digital arena, the digital platforms also have certain tools where they look at how to develop relationships instead of rather just doing the transaction using AI and other platforms, and then having more interaction in terms of basically not only saying what the customer wants, but also getting the feedback. So it's a totally different way of looking at relationships, the digital relationships. So let's try to do a session on that towards the latter part of the course. So it's a very, very, very pertinent, very good point that you raised as to how this digital or the remote channels are actually creating relationships. But my personal point of view is that if you can meet a customer that has a very strong relationship and a very strong basically opportunity for you to manage these challenges that we just talked related to the service marketing rather than going digital. Having said that, we should not underestimate the digital platforms, because that also is a platform where we can use certain tools where we can develop a relationship. So it's a very, very interesting area to study. Thank you, Brahmana, for bringing that point. Anyone else who wants to discuss with what we just said? Basically, you might get a question, for example, saying that how do you discuss the importance of CRM in marketing financial services, or discuss the importance of CRM in the financial services environment. So if you get a question like that, you need to actually basically look at it in a very open way, use these insights that we just discussed and answer the question. Now, you must also, we are coming to the latter part of the session. I might not take up the next slide, but let me tell you very importantly, as now you may have realized, you have to attend to the classes, because you can't read the slides and basically write the exam. Right? It's very important that you and I have a very fruitful discussion where the knowledge is passed and knowledge is built, and you have to approach questions based on what you have learned and in a different way. If you are approaching the questions the same way that you have learned in the diploma level, it will not work in the postgraduate level, right? So this particular question, what the importance of CRM in the financial environment, you can give it to a normal student also. They will also write an answer. But when it comes to you, we expect you to write a more comprehensive answer, taking all these insights that we discussed, such as talking about what are the challenges and how the CRM will help, and then link the CRM into that particular part, right? So very, very important for you to attend to classes, because if you don't attend, sometimes by reading the notes, you may not get a good idea. That is for sure, right? And you might not pass the module also, because if you just write something, you will not get marks. You have to write a proper answer for you to get marks in the paper, because otherwise you can even some questions can be written by a normal person, but then he will not write in the proper way. He will write like a normal layman, right? Approach. And having said that, I have already shared you a reading material. It's very important that you read that, right? Because that will tell you more things about what we have learned today and also what we are going to learn in the next class, right? So that's from the Kotler and Armstrong Principles of Marketing. I have extracted some a particular note and I have shared the note with you, right? So this is what I have to tell you. And it won't work, because we are talking about 4-hour lectures, 10 lectures, 40 hours. Basically, even if you listen to the lectures 24 hours, you need 2 days to finish. But you won't know, right? So so if you try to wait till the end and try to listen to the lectures and come to the exam, you are doing a big mistake. That's something that some people have done in the past, and they have unfortunately failed the exam, very unfortunately, because they have not approached the questions properly. So when we are giving a question, we expect you to use a certain model, use a certain theory, and then approach the question, rather than like a normal layman. සාමාන්‍ය ළමෙක් වගේ නිකන් ඔය තමන්ට හිතෙන දේවල් ලියන්න නැතුව, right? එතකොට ඒක ඇකඩමික් පැත්ත නෙමෙයි. ඒකට ඇකඩමිකලි අපි ඉම්ප්‍රූව් වෙනවා කියන්නේ අපිට දේවල් ෆ්‍රේම්වර්ක්ස් වලින්, තියරිස් වලින්, රිසර්ච් වලින් අරගෙන උත්තර දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. එහෙම නැතුව නිකන් උත්තර දෙන්න අපිට පුළුවන් මේක මෙහෙමයි අපි කතා කරන්න ඕනේ, hina වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක නෙමෙයි අපි මෙතනදී බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. We want you to approach in a very high professional manner. So my advice to you is to listen to the lectures properly, and generally to be there in the class on time, because I generally like to start on time, right? So I hope that all of you enjoyed the class, and if we have another 2 minutes more. If you have any questions, you may ask now, or we can close the class. Any questions? I can stay with you and then.
Sir, is this slide shared with us?
Yeah, but Dinesh, certain things are not shared. And for example, now I did it in the class. I wrote dissonance and I show how it is reduced. I wrote it with you, right? So that is I work with you, right? And then when it comes to the marker and definition, I wrote certain points. Those are not in the slides. Those you need to be in the class, because I'm developing it with you rather than telling you marketing concept definition is this. I would prefer to develop it with you. So certain things are not in the slides, but most of the basic concepts are given. But when it comes to the class, I do certain developments to the slides. So very important for you to attend to the class. That's why I told you, by looking at the slides, you may not be able to do anything.
So this is available in that Google Meet platform, right, sir?
Yes. This lecture is available for you to listen and to go through again. But my advice to you is, if you miss a class, basically go and listen to it immediately after, because two things. One is what you learned in this class is related to the next class, and I'm not going to repeat it. Number two, if you accumulate videos without watching, end of the day, when it comes to the exam, none of you will have time to watch all the videos, because it's 40 hours. Right? So therefore, very important that you attend to it then and there.
Okay, sir.
And I prefer that you communicate with me anything you wish. And basically, I will try to take your numbers and see whether I can develop a WhatsApp group where we can share our knowledge. So we will try to do it from the second class onwards. Yes, Dilusha.
So just to clarify, relationship is a byproduct of trust, right?
Sorry?
Relationship is a byproduct of trust. Am I correct?
No. Trust is a byproduct of You can basically look at it in both ways, right? But when you have a relationship, the trust is built, and the relationship is built on trust, right? So it's basically you can argue in the other way, or a chicken or egg situation, but you need to have trust to build a relationship, and when the relationship gets stronger, trust will also get stronger.
12:30.
When the relationship is stronger, the trust is stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Because you will not have a relationship with the person that you can't trust.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Right. So we have come to 12:30. So I close the class for today. So let's meet up next week and have a good session. Okay. All the best. Take care.